Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, folks. Wrapping up this year. Hope you guys had a great Christmas. We're kind of trying to finish this last week strong with a couple more podcasts for you guys. This one was actually with my good buddy Travis from Biker Living Magazine. You can check out his Instagram at Biker Living Mag Tex, all one word. You can check out his magazine there, and I believe he's on Facebook and has a website as well. Had a good time. Me and him, we split a 12-pack 3 ways. So I had 2/3, he had a third. It was a good time. It was a good conversation, I think. And, like any good conversation where I'm drunk, I talk a lot of shit. So get ready for that. Anyways, thank you, Travis, for coming out. I also want to thank our sponsors, D&D Exhaust. You can always check them out on Instagram at DND Exhaust. You can also go to their website. Where was their website? Oh, DexhaustCom and check out them. And also, for pretty much a while now, I think you can always still go online and put Fast Life for a percentage off at the end of your checkout. So Fast Life, one word. Or you can also call them in 844-DND Pipe. Check them out on all their platforms, man. If you already have their pipe, man, fucking tag them on Instagram. Let them see your bike, and let's see how it goes. Or something like that, right? Anyways, I also want to thank Mark from Texas Performance MC. Big support of our podcast since day one. Hope to have him on here soon with our buddy Steve Chamberlain, who's coming to Dallas from Michigan to party with us IMS weekend. Hope you guys are all going to be here for an IMS weekend. We're also that weekend. There's sorry, Mark, I got to talk about this, but IMS weekend is going to be a good thing here in Dallas-Fort Worth. So we got Bike and Bird coming up. That's going to be hosting an event Saturday evening at Strokers with, I think, Adam Sandoval will also be there, and us, the Fast Life Garage, will be there as well. So you'll be able to come up to that. And once that is over, or around 9, 10 o'clock, a lot of us are going to be going over to Anvil Pub in Deep Ellum, and we're going to be celebrating our 4th year as a shop, the Fast Life Garage. So I hope you guys can all come out. Probably going to be doing a lot of podcasts, a lot of drinking, a lot of good times that weekend. So I hope you're all coming out. I know Mark will be up here, so you'll be able to check out Mark at Texas Performance MC in person, shake his hand, meet T-Bar Jesus himself. Maybe he'll bless you and your bike for 2019. I also want to thank Paint for Metal Flake. My dudes over there always being big supporters of this podcast. Thank you guys, as always. Go to painthuffer.com if you want to get some great Flakes products, FBS tapes, House of Color products, just whatever you need. It should be on their website. They sell it all. Brian's a good dude, and he's going to take care of you. You can also go to Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram and see a lot of great painters, great artist work, just constantly being shared back and forth, which is great about what Paint Huffer does for this industry. So check them out on Instagram and online. I also want to thank horsepowerinc.net. I guess that's their website. But I also want to thank Horsepower Inc. in general for being sponsors almost this entire year, and looking forward to the next year's sponsorship as well. So you can always check out horsepowerinc.net if you want to order throttle bodies, air cleaners, exhaust pipes, and other products that they sell. You can always get it on their website. They're also a drag specialties product, so most of your companies that you do business with can get their products through drag as well. You can also check out Horsepower Inc. on Instagram at Horsepower Inc. and on Facebook at Horsepower Inc. Indy on Facebook. I also want to thank you guys for the recent podcast supporters, the Patreon guys. Like I said in the last podcast, it is a lifeline to this podcast, so I appreciate you guys that go on there and donate as little as $1, man. That all helps continue to grow. So if you need a link to that, just go to our website, fastlifegarage.com, and there's right on the front page, first thing, Patreon support right there. So I appreciate you guys that do it. Also, don't forget that next month we're going to be giving away a set of 14-inch T-bars courtesy of Chassis Works, which, what was his 4130 Chassis Works on Instagram. Check him out. He does some great shit. You can always order bars from him. He makes them to order. So if you have a certain style that you like or want to go towards, then he can pretty much make it all 100% custom for you. So check those out. Like I said, this podcast is with Travis from Biker Living Magazine. So here he is, and enjoy.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
We're started.
We're started.
Yeah.
Nice.
Welcome to Dallas, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, man. Always have to have the Dos Equis when we're around.
Yeah, I'm trying to evolve a little bit and get away from it. I've been trying new shit like PBR, and I tried to drink some vodka. I haven't drank vodka in like 4 years. I tried to do like some little cocktails and shit. Nah, that was not good.
I saw a little glass the other day. It said "Death to Craft Beer."
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the craft beer. I'll take my Dos Equis and my Bud Light all day.
Yeah, man. I was I've been trying to get back onto being healthy.
Yeah.
And so beer's you're not supposed to drink beer. It's a weird thing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't eat any food and just drink beer, you'll lose weight, but it might not be the healthiest.
Yeah. It sucks, man, because beer, I don't know. I like it. It's really hard to get. It's just the best thing to add to any occasion to make it good or
Gooder. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, shit, man, you've been you kind of took over this magazine first of the year, right?
Yeah. It was a few months into 2018. I took it over.
You picked up the Dyna late last year, though, right?
Yes, I picked up the Dyna that you painted from Maston at Cowboy because Tommy and Maston were reaching out to you, I think, having you paint quite a few. I had my title to my Softail. I had an 06 Softail Heritage that I was getting ready to cello out. And I was riding with some buddies, having a super hard time keeping up with them on the Softail, scraping floorboards everywhere I went. My floorboards were like rusty and my fucking back tire would lift up and stuff. And
that's not good.
yeah, I had already been into the Dyna FXR thing, but not even really the FXR thing, just I knew what I liked, didn't know a whole lot about it, but when I walked into Cowboy, I saw what I liked, and I got it, and just
So, where are you originally out of, like the San Antonio or Austin area?
I'm out of Austin. That's where I'm living. I've been in Texas about 8 years, originally from the Central Valley, Fresno area of California. Small little farm town right outside there.
So right off the 99 over there? Or what?
Yeah, right off 99. Yeah. It's funny because I hear you on your podcast talking about like the Central Valley, and I heard you on the podcast you just released talking about Pismo and some of the guys in California wanting to do the FXR meetup in Pismo, and I'm actually going to be out there in just a few days, a week's time, right after Christmas.
Nice, yeah. I love that area, man.
Yeah.
Well, like Fresno, like there's I think Two Rivers is a little town up in the foothills there. Dude, we camped there one year, the last year on the way to Born Free and shit when we were going to San Francisco first. And, dude, riding those foothills it's the best. You know what I mean? It's just like sweeping turns and...
Or even the mountain, dude. I mean...
We didn't really get too far in the mountains because of, there was a cunt there running the gate to get in, and she was being dude, we were on the side of a mountain, right? Yeah. So big slope. We're on bikes. The line's like 20 cars, and we just bought this pass to get through all the state or go through all the national parks. So I parked the bike and walked up. Said, hey, we're on the bikes. It's kind of a bitch. Can we show you the passes and go? We don't have to pay. We already paid for this stuff. And she's like, get in line. She's just being a bitch about it. I was like, come on, dude. It's fucking. We're on bikes, man. Can we lane split to the front?
Yeah. I went up to Yosemite just a month ago. I'd been visiting California a lot this past year. My grandpa was real sick, and I went up to Yosemite with my grandpa, and the whole way up there was a black road guide following us up the whole way. I was in my car, or I was in my grandpa's car giving him a ride up there, and it was just like the guy behind me was just teasing me, and I had my girlfriend with me at the time that likes to ride with me, and I was like, babe, look back, see that bike, and she's like, oh, when I moved out of California, I was 20 years old. California was a little too much fun for me in the younger days and young time. And so my parents dragged me out here to Texas. I rode dirt bikes growing up my whole life, and I rode dirt bikes all throughout those mountains, trails. That's what my favorite thing was. You could go park your truck, unload your bike, and then just go and be lost forever, and then find a gas station, luckily, and keep going for a few hours. So I never had a chance to ride a Harley through those mountains. And I plan to probably in 2019 for sure.
Yeah, that's the main trip that I'm planning for next year is also the same way. So
Born Free or where?
yeah, I think we're gonna do Born Free again. I mean, a lot of the homies that are here, we've been talking about doing a big trip, and so we're gonna do that and make that up again. Is there somebody over there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So but we're gonna come through. We're gonna stop in Reno, right? Stay there one night and then cross through go through Lake Tahoe. And I think that the road's 80 is one of the passes we're gonna take, because it's like every time I've ever gone through there, like 120 is always snowed over, so you can't ride through it, which is like supposedly one of the nicer ones where you get to see the waterfall and all the cool shit through Yosemite. So I'm not even gonna like waste my time because the road that me and my wife drove through was sick. It drops you just east of like Lodi and some of those towns right there in the foothills, and so I'm pretty stoked about it, to be honest with you. So
yeah, and I've like I said, I've never had a chance to, being from there and then riding bikes my whole life, or dirt bikes and now motorcycles. Like, it's super high up on my priority list for 2019 to make it back out to my old stomping grounds on my Harley, on my Dyna, and ride through those hills that I grew up on riding dirt bikes. But yeah.
So what were you doing when you came here? Like, what was the first like job for you that just fucking around?
No, I had to stay at my house for an extended amount of time and not leave whenever I wanted. And
one of those.
Yeah, I wasn't really allowed to leave a whole lot. And then also, I think it was weird. I thought all these Texans were out to like get me, because everywhere I went, I would put on my application, like all my previous jobs were all California. And so, especially in like the Houston area, I thought they were like...
Was that where you came into the Houston?
Yeah, I was living in Conroe.
Okay.
When I first moved to Texas, we were living right there on Lake Conroe. And dude, man, I applied so many different places, couldn't get anything. My dad, the reason we moved to Texas is so my dad could be a GM at a diesel truck salvage yard. And so after like 40 applications of not getting any calls back, I went and put an application. My dad didn't even know I was going to show up to his shop. Just go in. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I'm picking up an application." He's like, "Come into my office." And so I ended up getting a job at my dad's shop. And it was working for my dad when I bought my first Harley. I was 20.
Well, what made you do Harley instead of like a crotch rocket or something?
I knew I was going to kill myself, man. I mean, I liked both. I was really into just bikes. It didn't really... It wasn't until I actually got a Harley that I was like bar and shield all the way.
Yeah.
But I knew that if I got a crotch rocket, most likely I'd be trying to do wheelies at like 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour or something. And so my dad had a cruiser style bike. It wasn't a Harley, but I knew that I wasn't going to waste my time with something like that. And I actually had a manager that was like, "Get a fucking Harley Davidson, man.
Yeah.
Get yourself a Harley Davidson." So I ended up getting one, fell in love with it. Had my Softail for 6 or 7 years, and then I got my Dyna. But
so the you said you were kind of riding around with a lot of people that were on Dynas and that kind of stuff. Was that really kind of what pushed you towards it? Or
being able, like, seeing, like, we would by that time I was already in Austin, so we had the hill country in our backyard, and we'd go out to the hill country and hit the roads with all the windies and everything like that, twisties. And it was then I realized that I had the ability to stay up with them, but my bike was not up to par. It wasn't going to happen with my bike that I had. And, but I like motorcycles, whether it's T-bars in the fucking fairing, or it's, the 21-inch front wheel with the ape hangers and like I like motorcycles. And so I was also going to I was going to throw a bunch of money into my Softail, and then
That's what I heard Connor was doing too before he founded the Dyna culture. He was kind of going spokes and apes on his bike before he found
on his Dyna.
I don't know if it was his Dyna, but it was the first Harley he had, from what I remember.
I think the first Harley he had was that Dyna.
Yeah, I think he was going another. He had the Burley Slammers on it and shit.
Oh yeah. Now
Shout out to Connor FX. Is it still FXDB or is it?
It needs to be something else, right? FXLL or
FXLR now,
LR,
right?
yeah, LR.
Yeah.
But yeah, and still to this day, I could go to a bike show and appreciate everything.
Sure. I'm the same way, you know. Like I said, I really am. Like, we all like to talk shit and you know, poke fun at all the different types of bikes, right? Not so much the bikes as much as the people that are on the bikes is more funny. But yeah, like when you see it, like you see a badass built bike, Softail or not, you know, the shit is dope. You know, like unfortunately, I can't afford to have every type of bike I like, but you know, if I have to pick something that really speaks to me now, right now, it's the more performance oriented bikes.
Yeah.
But dude, I so badly want a chopper. I so badly want, you know, another FXR.
Yeah.
But I'm not rich.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You know, I gotta live within my means.
Yeah, I was thinking just the other day what I would do. You saw Jacob from he used to live in San Antonio. Now he's back out in California.
Yeah, didn't Jacob win the fucking
the cut rate FXR?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if I was in Jacob's shoes, what would I do? Would I sell my Dyna, you know, and then just ride the FXR, or just keep paying my note?
Yeah.
And having two bikes and one's not getting ridden, like the Dyna's not getting ridden, but I'm still paying on. Like I was like, what would I do in that situation? You know, I want as many bikes as I want, but I also don't want a note on any of them. You know,
Yeah. That's the only thing that sucks about it.
Exactly, it's not having the bills on it, and that's.
Well, like I said, if he has a new Dyna, then that thing's always going to start for the most part. You know, like I said, those old FXRs, man, they you know.
And does that thing have?
There's a Aero charger on it.
An Aero charger.
Yeah, so it's like a Pro charger, I believe. Don't get me lying about this shit, but it's a fully done up bike, man. It's you know, it's not. I don't know if I would go as far as to say that's your everyday cruise around town type of bike. You know, I know that you know Oliver's a riding motherfucker, so I know he builds bikes that you can put miles on. But you know, even like when we used to put turbos on baggers and shit, like that shit sucked to ride around town on. Yeah, you know, it's a lot of horsepower. It's a lot of fucking heat, you know. And here in Texas, you know, it kind of sucks at certain times of year. But, you know, L.A., that shit's pretty much the same. When did he move out there, though? I didn't even...
He just moved back. So, like, you know, he won that bike last week. And he probably had only been back in L.A. a month and a half.
For real.
You know, he's good buddies with a photographer for the magazine, Albie.
Yeah.
And Albie, me and him went to dinner the other night, and he was telling me that he's been texting Jacob back and forth, just like pissed off, like just real jealous of him.
Just and mad hater.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of cool that it didn't matter if it just so happened that Jacob was in Huntington when he won that bike, and so Oliver didn't have to drive very far to deliver it. But as far as I understood, he would have driven, wherever, and delivered you your bike.
Yeah, he has that Sprinter van or that Dodge one, so he's, you know, it's all decked out to kind of move about the country.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, he's set up to kind of do whatever he needs to do. But yeah, it's cool, man. I saw that. I was like, is that fucking dude that? Because I didn't know him well, but he came to our New Year's ride last year, and he was hanging out at the shop and everything. I was like, man, that dude looks familiar. And I scrolled down, I saw his picture that. Like either Connor or Mason took of him last year, so I was like, "Fuck, that's cool." I know somebody that won one of these raffles, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's not all rigged.
Yeah, it's like it's really happening. It's like those cars you used to see in the middle of the mall, and you're like, "Okay, who's winning this shit?"
Yeah.
Or who? You remember back in the day when they used to like do those keys on the radio, and everybody would get a key, and then you go to the thing and see if it turns the car on or some shit.
Yeah.
It's like nobody ever fucking won that shit.
Have you ever been to a bike night or an event here in Dallas or anywhere where they had touch a bike and you had to leave your hand on that bike and the last one standing won the bike?
No, but that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I just heard that like back in the heyday of some of the bike nights at Central Texas, down in Round Rock, that it was like called Touch a Bike, but there was 50 people, so 50 people couldn't touch a bike, so they just brought up one of the dealership vans, and they would have a radio station, a TV station out there covering this thing that lasted like 3 or 4 days, and like they had an ambulance on scene, and there was people like falling over, but the winner, the last one standing, got to keep a bike.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is pretty cool. That'd be fun to watch.
I would go and hang out, and
I'd go sit and get a lawn chair and just bug the fuck out of them.
Exactly. Especially since it's at a dealership, since there's free beer all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Liquor license.
So when you when the whole like magazine thing like was on the table, like what motivated you to take on that responsibility, with the Biker Living? Because you're basically you bought the magazine from a lady that had it going on for a while. And I've seen the changes you made, like you've really revamped it into what it is today.
Yeah.
And it's more in touch with like, which is things that we talked about a long time ago when we first met, like talked about, bringing more of our current culture to the magazine, and you can see it in it.
Yeah. And so the magazine has been around for 11 years. After this December in a few days, I could say it's been around 12 years. And it was the fact that I could say that.
Yeah.
And then also, I met the lady. Her name is Christina Anthony. She's the founder of the magazine. I was at a bike night at Cowboy Harley, and I go up, and she was actually serving beer, and I get a beer, and she's like, grab the last issue of Biker Living. And I was like, last issue? And she's like, yeah, it's the last one we're doing. And I was like, why? And she's like, I'm wanting to travel the United States in a van, and I can't continue to publish the magazine. I was like, sell that thing. And she's like, I have kind of not publicly been announcing it, but people that I know would be interested, I've been telling them that, yes, if they wanted to take it over, it's for sale. And she was kind of like saying it was for sale and everything. So I asked her if I could take her to lunch and just talk more about the business and everything else. And so we met about 4 or 5 times for lunch, and came to an agreement to let me buy it from her. And so I bought the magazine from her. So the main thing that really, so before the magazine, I was doing, I just started doing an online like clothing company through Shopify, where I was going to target C10 trucks and also Harley Davidson motorcycles, and just sell merchandise off like some Shopify website. And I knew that this was an established thing, and so it was intriguing in that sense. And then I called all the advertisers in the last issue and asked them if they'd continue to advertise. And all of them except for one said yes. And so I was already doing outside sales. So I figured, and majority of the content is submitted by the readers. I write at least one article myself, which is always the cover article. And then I'll do 1 or 2 more just depending on what's going on. So a lot of the content is already submitted, which is nice. And I have to do mainly just the selling part of it. And so
that's a lot of work in itself too, just like doing the marketing and promoting of it.
Yeah.
And but it's basically, I mean, the magazine itself is still just based out of like Texas as a whole, and all the events and things like that. And there used to be another one around. Is it still around, that Thunder Roads? Is that still, that's more of a national thing that had like regions, I guess.
Yes. And so Thunder Roads, they're still around. And one of the reasons I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons why I took it over, but I called Thunder Roads, and I knew about them.
I still got a little bit more. I'll take another one though.
I knew about Thunder Roads and that they offered franchisees, and I called them up, and I was like, "Hey, how much is it to open a franchise in Texas?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah," he was real excited, and he's like, he threw out some numbers, and the numbers were a lot higher than what I was going to be able to buy Biker Living magazine for. And I owned that. I owned Biker Living magazine.
100%, yeah.
Whereas with Thunder Roads, he was telling me like, oh, we already got all this content. It's going to be super easy. You just need to go out there and hustle and sell, and the content will fill itself. But the numbers like were double or triple what I was going to be able to buy this one for. So I thought it was a good deal. And, you know, I have a huge passion for bikes and two wheels. And I was doing a little bit, like I said, with the online stuff. And that was going to start from scratch. And so I knew there was already an established history with the magazine as far as like 11 years and everything. And
well, yeah, it's really good because you were able to maintain or retain the sponsors that was already on it, which helps fund and obviously it helps make the magazine happen. Right?
Yeah,
100%. So
exactly.
And yeah, that's cool though, man. Like I said, I think the hard part about, and this is like once again touching on what we had talked about at the Texas Hill Show, and we wrapped it up for hours. But I think the problem was with like seeing Thunder Roads and seeing these other magazines you would see is that they cater to a crowd that was there. There's this crowd's still there, but it didn't appeal to the younger market or the people like I guess us that were coming in with Dynas or coming in with, you know, the many different things that you have in these magazines. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I still try to cover everything in the magazine, from the Dynas and FXRs and performance style stuff all the way like this issue. I have an article about a trike. You know what I mean? And
so
I saw
like
that
just now.
I try to keep everything
well, it's like if you're one of the older guys too, I don't know, like I want to know what's current, right? And, you know, if I'm an older guy that, you know, that's not hip to what's going on now, it's like if there's a magazine that's a motorcycle related, but it's kind of showing me the trends or the culture that's taking place that maybe I'm not paying attention to, like I'd be interested in that.
But you would think that, but I don't think most old guys are. They're like, like I've literally had people message me on Facebook when I put out like a new cover or some new stuff, and they're like, I don't like this new shit. I wish it. And I was like, what is it missing, bro? Like, what is the magazine missing that it used to have that it doesn't have today? And he's like, I don't know. It just looks like there's not enough badassness. And I'm like, dude. And like, it was one cover a few issues back. I was like, you know who that motherfucker is on that cover? Like, that's a badass dude. Like, you can't say the magazine's missing a certain edge to anything, because, I mean, I try to make sure that it's cool stuff that, for the most part, I can't control what all my readers submit, and I have a last chance to edit it. And even if I don't want it in the magazine, I have that call too, which is a hard call to make sometimes because
piss people off.
And then in the last, Christina never would tell people no. She would, everything was like,
but you have to, I mean, it's your name now. Like Biker Living is now your name. So you want to make sure that the content that's coming out, that you can stand behind it and be proud of every fucking page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, I see it. I see, like you said, the trike in there. It's like you can see that you're trying to pay homage to it, but dude, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's weird because, like, you know, we see a lot of our culture on Instagram, right? And I'm a huge fan of the nostalgic or the having a magazine, having something tangible in your hand, right? Or having something like right there. But, you know, I guess maybe the older crowd, like they're not really hip to what's going on the web, you know, whatever they call it.
But I think that even if they're not, they are still just as cool as the next cool guy on Instagram, or even, you know, like even a lot 100%, cooler. But like that one article, after I read the article, the trike article, it's, you know, it's a freaking, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I read the article, and it's actually
we don't have trike listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're talking about a sidecar.
No, it's I wish. It is a cool article in the fact, like the story behind it and why she actually rides a trike and she's not able to ride two wheels. Yeah. She has an equilibrium and a hearing disorder that makes it to where she's not allowed to ride a motorcycle. Yeah, and so there's a cool story behind there. And not only that, but that article about that lady, her and all of her crew have been at Green Harley Davidson every day asking Green Harley Davidson managers, secretary people, like, hey, is Biker living here? Is Biker living here?
Yeah.
So
They're stoked about it.
You know, it's cool because not only are they stoked about it, but I've been trying to get Green to advertise with me for so long. But now that they got people and they're like saying, hey, where's this magazine at? It's like, why, you know, like, hey, what is this? Like yeah, I want nothing to be lame in my magazine. I totally understand. But some of the stuff that might not appeal to some readers appeals to a lot of other people. So
Yeah. Well, that's every magazine, right? You
it's
know
a
what I mean?
balancing act, you know?
Yeah.
And-
100%. I agree 100%. Yeah.
And like, I want everything that I like in the magazine to be super, like everything that I think is cool to be in the magazine. But this is a big, you know, industry kind of, in that the guy right next to me might not think my Dyna's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, and
big
so
time. Yeah.
I don't want to sell myself short as a business by not allowing some of that other stuff in there, because certain advertisers or people, partnerships.
The flip side to that coin is that you're still shedding light on our culture, right? This Dynas, FXRs, performance bikes, whatever. You're still shining light on it. So it's really now up to us, because you're giving to us now. It's up to everybody else that's out here that is a part of that scene to also be out here like, hey man, check out Biker Live and do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just like everybody sitting back just collecting things that the world does for them. You know what I'm saying? So like, you're putting your neck out there. You're providing something for someone to read. A lot of people are getting in there. You know, a lot of people are getting the magazines and getting light shed on what they're doing. So I think it's good for everybody to support shit, even if, you know, just period. You know, like someone's putting their fucking, you know, livelihood on the line here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I straight up. But also, like with the magazine, when I'm out at events, I don't like setting up booths because I'm a free magazine, a free publication. So what am I going to do with a booth? I really like having a camera around my neck and walking around and talking to people in a bag full of magazines.
Yeah.
But when I do set up a booth, what I tell everybody is, in the centerfold of the magazine, when you open it to the center, there's an event calendar. And so that's my like main push, is like, people will walk up to my booth that have never heard of Biker Living magazine. They're like, what is this? I'm like, it's a free magazine based out of Texas. There's an event calendar in the centerfold of the magazine. Check it out. And so I'm trying to put everything from, you know,
I mean, you put our camp out, didn't you?
yeah, I put the camp out. I put Texas Hills. I put Nitty Gritty. But then I'll also include, like, you
Like
know, the hog
IMS.
chapter. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hog
you know,
chapters,
like,
yeah.
I'm just trying to get everyone into it, not just a certain individual. And I'm trying to, like, bridge the gap. And so with Christina Anthony, her motto for like a submission of an article is it couldn't be a rant or couldn't be negative, and she tries to keep it positive, personable, and bridge building. And I thought that was a cool, like that's what she tried to do. And so I'm not going to be able to build all the bridges or whatever, but if I could bring a Dyna or an FXR guy to a Nitty Gritty or a, you know, Southern Throwdown, then we're doing something right.
Yeah,
and that's all we're trying to do, is just get everyone involved in Texas to just check everything out.
It seems like it really does seem like a lot of the things are like a lot of the shows are pretty, I guess, in a sense, like most of us here in Texas that are on the Dynas and FXRs and performance baggers, whatever you want to call it, we still fuck around at the chopper shows. You know what I mean? Like it's like we're all connected in a way. But there's like the only thing that I don't feel really connected to is, like, you know, those little hole in the wall rallies. You know, I say hole in the wall, but they're usually
you
bigger.
end up going, and it's like, how the hell do all these people know about it?
Yeah, it'd be a hog rally or a fucking like barbecue chili cook off in like Lukenbach or fucking, you know, Longview, Texas or some shit. You know what I mean? Like some random place. I say random, but you know, Texas is a big fucking country. So,
Yeah.
But like you see all these big things, and it's like I don't know, are these Facebook things that you got to be, privy to see these events? And the one thing I started realizing is like Rock Rally, right? Like, have you've been, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Rock Rally is a shit show, right? But if you're there and you're not you're not like just being a mad fucking hater, and you're just you're not judging all the people in their fucking golf carts and their fifth wheels that are there. It's a good ass party.
I've always had fun. I've always had fun.
And so I don't think it's that many years difference between the campground at Giddy Up and the campground at fucking Rock Rally.
I agree. No, I agree. And I mean, you give me enough Bud Light and a golf cart, I'm gonna have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I can't drink as much beer as I did at last Rock Rally and ride around on my Dyna, but I could sit as hell bump into people on golf carts,
exactly.
And it's like, it's your outlook. You have to go into it pretty openly and like not think that this is an old person rally or whatever you've been told.
Yeah.
You just got to go in there with a clean sheet and just take it for whatever you make. You make that rally what it is. And
I feel like the party's the same at all of them.
Yeah.
It's the same party at all of them. It's just that some of the bikes are different and some of the way people dress are different. But the gist of the party is the same.
Yeah.
Get drunk. Hopefully you see a pair of tits or two. Probably don't want to see too many dicks, but you can see those at Rock Rally.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's the fun time. Dude, like, trust me, I love Giddy Up. That's my favorite show, right? But that's chopper shit, right? That's hardcore chopper shit. All right. I don't know about you, but I grew up looking at Easy Rider magazines. So chopper shit is in my mind a different way. Well, Rock Rally has a lot more chopper shit going on than fucking Giddy Up. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I was just looking at Zombie Mike's Easy Riders the other day, and yeah, you're right. There's a lot of chopper shit in Easy Riders. But not really vintage, more just like that, chopper OCC almost style choppers on Easy
But those
Rider.
people are living more. I wouldn't say living more
freely,
yeah.
Especially,
I guess just being on this podcast for this year and talking with a lot of people, especially people from that area, the era of building those type of choppers. You see that everybody's the same, man. It's just you're building the bike of your generation, and for a lot of people that are into the vintage shoppers, they just found a calling to that older bike, and that's still their bike of their generation, even if it's a 74 Shovelhead, you know what I mean? So when you look at these bike events, it's like, yeah, Born Free's the shit, man. It's a dope show. I honestly think that you could have probably you could probably have the best time as well at Rock Rally. Going in the little parade line and just seeing all the fuckery going on, or just getting lawn chairs and watching, and drinking beers with your buddies and being, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Rock Rally is like a definitely what do they say, like the turtle wins the race, or like something about like you have to be in that thing for the long haul. Because I was hanging out with some guys out of California, Big Al and Schultz.
Yeah.
And they were at Rock Rally, and they were like, I thought this thing was supposed to be fucking crazy. Like, this is nothing. I was like, just wait. And they ended up peeling off, and they left before it got crazy. But
then you were there the same time that me and my boys were there, and we all had our shirts off, and we were giving beads out.
Nice.
Like, we were living it, dude.
Yeah, this last year?
The year before.
Okay.
Oh, so you went this year. Yeah, I didn't go. I was out of town. So.
Yeah, Big Al doesn't come every year, but I know Schultz has been
Oh,
there
yeah,
the
Big
last...
Al. So I was thinking Justin George came the year before.
He was there this year,
too. Oh, he was too? Okay.
Yeah, Justin was there, Big Al, and Schultz, and they were like, this is supposed to be fucking crazy. I've heard that this is wild and this and that. And I'm like, it does get wild. Just stick around. And they ended up peeling off. But I stuck around, and
well, you know what we used to do? We used to go down there, and then we would go to 6th Street, because it's two different crowds. You got the people partying at Rock Rally on the grounds, and you got the people that just come down to Austin and they chill on 6th Street. I can't afford to hang out on 6th Street. That's all bars.
Yep.
And then not only that, you're on a bike. They shut down the street for the bikes, but now you got to get that bike fucking back to your hotel or whatever. You go to fucking Rock Rally, you could be hammered drunk driving that bike around in that parade. You ain't getting no DWIs.
Nope.
Or you can go get 12 packs or 18 packs, whatever you want. Make your own fucking hot dogs out there.
Yep.
And the party is right there all fucking night. You know what I
I
mean?
will say this though, that like I've always had fun at Rot Rally. The one thing that I hated this last year was $85 a ticket for one
Yeah.
day. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a little ridiculous. But yeah, I saw ZZ Top, which is epic, and
Well, I think that's the thing that like those older rallies, you know, because the year before last, we were talking to some of the people that were running, you know, and it was through like Maston and Tommy from Cowboy Harley. Like they had got me and Mark involved in some of the stuff, and we were trying to do our best to kind of bring a younger crowd to that shit. And to be honest with you, we don't give two fucks about a concert.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to fucking Sturgis, they got Bret Michaels there at fucking, you know, Full Throttle, and like,
Yep.
you know, there's bitches out there fucking having a good time, and
Yeah.
they're paying way more than $85 to be on that. They're paying that per night. You know, they're paying that per night, per person, that kind of shit.
Well,
So,
that's what Rot Rally was this last year.
Yeah.
It was $85 one day.
Damn.
And I freaking wrote a check that my mask. What is it? Wrote a check. My mouth wrote a check that my ass couldn't cash or whatever, and I had told at least one photographer. Luckily, the other guy, I told him that I'd buy his ticket. He's like, "No, that's fine." But I told one of my buddies that shoots photos for me. I was like, "I got your ticket. Don't worry about it." We got up to the thing. It was like $85 a person. I was like, I just dropped $170 for 2 tickets. You
Yeah.
know, it's ridiculous.
Well, you know, like the thing is, like, I feel like there's something about those shows that's still good because I had a great time. But
Yeah.
there's also something. I mean, you're obviously it's $85 to cover the bands. You know what I mean? To cover this shit. But realistically, we don't need that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there's gonna be people there at the fucking, you know, seeing the concert, but maybe why don't you, you know, charge separately for that,
Yeah.
or I don't know, man. Like it's
Yeah.
not really motorcycle in my opinion. I've
Yeah.
never gone to a rally. Period. Sturgis, you know, you go to Sturgis, you got the crowd that goes to the Buffalo Chip and the you know, the fucking Full Throttle and all these different places because they're trying to make Sturgis to where you don't have to leave their spot. You know what I mean? And Rock Rally's not like that because Rock Rally's in a town that doesn't shut down
Yep.
for a whole event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. It's weird. But like I said, these motherfuckers had it figured out. They're doing the same shit that we're doing. They just been doing it for fucking 20 plus years. So that's why you're seeing old lady titties and you're seeing old men walking around with fucking socks on their dicks and shit like that.
But they had it figured out 20 years ago.
yeah,
They
were
don't
doing it.
still have it figured out because
because we live in a world of as weird as it is, does it not feel like our world is like way more exposed, but way more
real.
like pussyfied. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like chicks ain't. You don't go to like I remember being a kid going to Rock Rally and seeing tits. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously you see tits still at Rock Rally, but just places like being at different bike shit. I grew up in this bike culture here in Dallas. You know, my stepdad was a club guy.
Nice.
So, you know, going to like fucking, you know, Strokers, which used to be Easy Riders back in the day, you know, is what it used to be called. Mm-hmm. You'd see shit like that. But then as like time got bigger and these people got older, they started bringing their kids to the fucking thing. And they're like, oh, we can't do that no more. We can't be this way.
Yeah.
You know, and then so now they have, that's what inspired like these biker adult rallies. You ever heard about that?
Yes.
I went to one of those and got a booth like in 2008 thinking like, yeah, I'm going to make some money here. No, I just saw a lot of dicks.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A lot of dicks.
Have you ever heard of the adult only camping at Lone Star? There's an adult only camping at Lone Star. I almost went this last year just because it was so cheap and I was being a broke ass. And
You got to be naked the whole time.
yeah, exactly. I did talk to some guys though that they had some people over. They had some club brothers over at the adult only camping, and it was getting weird.
Yeah.
You know, but there's also like, so with the magazine, I try to put stuff on the cover or that is an event that people could go to. So like this last one, we did the interview with you, but I knew you were at IMS and that you've been to all these Easy Rider shows. So it was an easy,
Yeah.
there's my cover right there. So like the
Well-
next one is February March, and I was looking at the events that are coming up in February, March. I don't want to get too much into the giddy up conversation because that's a whole different tangent, and I'm not gonna really do a cover of them.
Yeah.
I won't do a cover of them, but there's another bike show coming up called Thunder in the Hill Country, which is another adult only, but it's been around forever. And I've talked to a lot of older guys that are like, yeah, I go to that shit. And so like that might be my next cover. But the events that are based here in Texas is what I try to like push through Biker Living.
And that's 100% what should be pushed.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. The cool thing about IMS is like the guys that put on the custom side of that show are the same people that do the stuff for Rock Rally. So like Bob K and Jeff Major and stuff like that. So fortunately, man, like the year that we got invited down through, Maston and Tommy, and I got to meet those guys, and now we have a great relationship. So I work with those guys on a lot of different events and stuff like that. But like I was telling you, I think I can kind of remember what we kind of talked about in the article. But for us here in Dallas, we back in the mid 2000s when I first got into the bike scene, we had IMS show, which was kind of like the auto show. Like the IMS show was always like the show where you could go see all the stock shit,
you get a bunch
all the
of
new
freebies.
Shit. Yeah, you get to. It's like a Dallas, like the auto show of your town, right? So it's like you get to see the new models coming out, things like that. Which there is something cool about that.
Yeah.
If IMS was in summer, nobody fucking go to it. You know what I mean? Because it's just a fucking stock bike show. But then they added the custom like corner to this event, and it made it way more entertaining for guys like us. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that want to see the new Road Glider, see the new BMW or something like that. But we used to have Easy Riders as well. Easy Riders used to come here to Fair Park every year. And it was a big deal, man.
During the winter?
No, it was in the middle of the fucking year.
I don't know why they're coming to Texas during the winter.
They do most of their fucking shows in the winter.
Really?
Yeah, so think about it. Like Sacramento is the first one. So Sacramento takes place like right after the first, right?
Oh, okay.
And so most of their shows are done, like Easy Rider shows are done by March. Because you got to think, man, come March, you have Daytona. And then every month after that, you have a pretty sizable rally somewhere in the country.
Yeah.
So by doing all this stuff in the wintertime, it gives them a chance to it's good. It's good for the custom bike world too, because there's still that crowd out there that wants to build a bike for a trophy, right? So that keeps us in business in the wintertime when it's tough, because you either want to paint your bike or build your bike to ride with your boys, or you wanted to do it so that you can, go to Easy Riders or IMS or some of these shows and show off your shit and win a trophy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or even go to those shows and get inspired, and you still got at least 2 more months of cold weather, and you just left IMS or Easy Riders, and now you got all these new ideas in your head that you're like, shit, I want to do that to my bike. And so, yeah, it is cool. It's just, I know the location, the Austin Convention Center, where Easy Riders is coming to Austin. It's going to be a bitch to park. But also if you do ride to there, it's going to be badass. If you ride to the show, you're going to have bike parking all over downtown Austin. If you ride a car because it's 30 degrees that morning, then, parking is going to be a bitch.
Yeah, we'll probably, I think what we're going to do is come down to Austin and get a hotel downtown and just Uber.
Nice.
You know, I think we're coming down to party more than anything. Depending on what happens with, talking to them. I don't even know if we even bring bikes, to be honest with you, because I want to support the show because, like I said, I'm super stoked that it's coming back to Texas, and I want them to come back again. And I think I mentioned this to you before, but I think it's a great show to kind of bridge a gap here in Texas between bike cultures that don't really mingle. You know what I mean? So like I said before, we have our, the Giddy Up guys, which is kind of like the Dyna FXR Sportster chopper guys, right? You don't really have a whole lot of baggers coming to that. You know what I mean? Or they're in the parking lot, but it's just not a wide thing. So like when you have these bikes, like these Matt Jackson bikes and these fucking, Texas Performance bikes and Eric Vaughn bikes and all these bikes coming to an event, where, and hell, even like a Big Wheel shop, like a fucking All Star Baggers or something like that has their shit there, then everybody gets to see a really a major variety of it.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing is that the people are there. The people that own these bikes. You get to see how these people act, how they party, how the vibe they are, you know? And you're like, fuck, man. Dude, we went to Nashville Easy Rider show. Dude, we fucking had a blast.
Really?
I mean, obviously Nashville is a fucking good time to party, right?
Yeah.
We ended up partying with half the builders that the night before the show
Oh, nice.
at you know, just down there. I don't remember the street names, but like half the builders were all hanging out, so we just fucking partied, you know. And that's exactly what's going to happen in Austin with this. So, I mean, you're going to have your cliques, but fortunately, I'm kind of like cool with everybody. So it's like, I'm going to bring all my bagger homies, and I'm going to bring all my FXR homies. I'm like, dude, let's get drunk and fucking party, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm more looking forward to that than anything.
Yeah, me too. I was down in Corpus on Monday, San Antonio on Tuesday, and then Houston on Wednesday and Thursday. And I got buddies from all those cities that are going to be at that show. And now I'm here in Dallas right now, and you know, all my Dallas people are going to be down there too. So it's going to be a blast. I've already I got a spot on my couch is already taken. I got air mattresses that are going to be up all over the house. So,
that's the same thing we're doing for fucking IMS here. So my boy from Michigan just booked his ticket, Steve Chamberlain. So he booked his ticket. He's flying down to party with us all weekend.
Badass.
Here. So, and we met him at the camp out. He was a podcast listener. So shout out to the Michigan homies out there.
Are you riding up there? Is that what you talked about in the last one, that you're going up to Michigan? Is that the guy you're going to visit? Or?
Well, I want to visit and podcast with this shop called Clem's Speed Shop. They're kind of doing some big shit up there in like the Detroit area. And then of course I want to ride around all of Michigan. And now that I've made quite a few friends up there, it's like, you know, I can couch surf and save a little money that way.
How'd you hear about Clem's?
Danny D was one of the guys that I met him at the FXR show at Sturgis last year. He had built a really sick ass one, I think it was a 143 twin cam FXR. He brought it out, and he's a charismatic dude, if I could say. And he I guess I don't know the whole story, and that's what I want to get, but I saw Clem's Speed Shop start popping up on Instagram. I was like, what's the shop? And they're just like, they're our shit. They're our culture across the board, and it's in Detroit. And I think it's cool, like, you know, that this whole culture of this type of bikes has really swept across the whole country now. And so, like, it's just as much as you know, I want to like have a podcast with anybody on the West Coast about these types of bikes or this type of culture. I also want to talk to almost more. I want to talk to the people in the Midwest or the fucking Northeast that are like, dude, how did it speak to you? Like, you know, sell me on how did it sell to you? You know? So I'm like really excited about going up there.
Yeah. And I thought the same thing when I was listening to the podcast that you just released yesterday with Chris, and I'm like, same exact question. I'm like, how the heck did these guys, and I don't know, but I'll be interested to hear that podcast when you do it, but I think it's the bike.
It is the bike.
It doesn't matter, you know, if it's the cool guy bike. It's just you get on that bike, and it's just...
Well, I think, you know what I think it is, man? I think if you heard what Chris said yesterday when we did that podcast, he said that, like, those, you know, obviously Northeast is big HA kind of thing. Well, obviously a lot of this bike style is from HA West Coast. Well, you know, HA is a nationwide country club. So basically, it's always been the bike of choice or the style of choice of these bikers based on, I think, you know, my ignorant knowledge of this, based on like the West Coast stuff. Yeah. So you see, you know, I think the bike, like you said, it's that, but I think it's also how you can ride the bike that makes it appealing. You know, I mean, you know, they might not have the canyons that the West Coast has, but they still have the fun that, you know, you can still rip around. There's everywhere's got corners. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can go to Kansas and find some nice roads. I mean, they might not be as nice as the ones in Sturgis, but there's some nice ones. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
What do you think about the Three Sisters compared to...
I haven't done it.
Oh, you haven't?
Dude, I want to ride the Three Sisters so fucking bad.
You see that one show that I was talking about? That's an adult-only show that I need to reach out.
The Bandera one?
Yeah, it's out in Bandera.
But I think the show, I know of the Bandera rally is like right around the same time of either Giddy Up or Texas Hills.
Well, there's it. If it's the same one we're talking about, it's right around Giddy Up.
Okay, so yeah.
And it's called Thunder in the Hill Country, but it's also a 21 and up only show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I need to reach out to them, see what they got going on, see if they're interested in working with us and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's what the magazine is just, and that's one of the biggest ways to bridge the gaps is just to get all different scenes and communities of the actual biking community, all different scenes of the biking community to the same location, just interacting with each other, getting along,
Yeah, exactly.
talking what they like, what they don't like. Yeah, there's some guys that are, assholes about it, but for the most part, I think everyone could just appreciate.
Yeah, the different stuff.
Yeah.
So how was it for you whenever you started, like when you went, like you went all in on this, so you quit your job and, this is your source of income 100%. Like how scary was that?
Yeah, it's super scary, man. It still is. It's definitely, with any business you own, I feel like it's just, you take away all the security, but that's what makes it fun. But it wasn't like I just was like, I'm going to quit my job and do this magazine thing. It was like, all right, I'm going to try to keep this job as long as I can and do the magazine thing on the side. And then it got to a point where the magazine was just demanding more of my time and my attention. And there was an opportunity at my day job where I could take a second shift and come in from like 1 o'clock till 10 p.m. And I thought I'd be able to hustle the magazine every morning from like 7 to 1. I was like, okay, I can make that work. And my general manager at the diesel truck dealership I worked at the time, he rode a Harley. So I was like, surely this guy's going to be cool enough to like understand. And he acted like he was cool. But a few weeks later, they told me they found my replacement and let me go.
Wow.
Yeah, it kind of sucked. I was doing sales at the time and I was hitting, some record sales numbers. So my sales numbers weren't dropping off. It was just, they I don't know. They were, I don't know.
They were just hating.
Yeah, they were pretty much just hating.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're going to go play with motorcycles and we got to play with a diesel
work,
truck.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That sucks.
But no, and with it being the way it is, like I'm having to do other stuff. Like one of my big goals in 2019, like the whole new year, new me thing is going to be, I'd like to make the magazine an audio. So whether it's like a podcast or whatever it is, to where instead of having to pick up the magazine and read it, you could just put your headphones on or put it on your Bluetooth in the car and just
hear about it.
Hear the magazine. I like Audible books. I'm not big on always reading them. And that's funny because I'm the editor of the magazine, but I like driving in the truck and just listening to an Audible book. And so that's kind of what it'll be. And then also a YouTube channel. Like when I listen to your podcast with Chris Callan from Cycle Source, and man, Chris is such a cool guy, and he hit the nail on the freaking nail on the head with the hammer. And he was like, it's print media. It is what it is, but in order to stay relevant, you have to do the Instagram, you have to do the podcast, you have to do the YouTube. And Chris talked about it on your podcast where he's working twice as hard now, 3 times as hard, and not making 3 times the amount of money. If anything, he's making less, he was saying, and stuff. And so it's just, it is what it is. And I was very fortunate to have the 11 years prior to like fall back on. And when I am out there doing my sales calls and talking to people, their eyes do kind of light up when I tell them that it's been around for 11 or 12 years in Texas. Like they're like, oh shit. And so like, it is nice having that. But I'm going to have to not only expand like media streams with podcasts and YouTube, but I'm going to have to expand like different revenue streams. And
I
have a few
think
things.
the hard part about like all the media thing. I mean, that's a good topic, man. It's like, you know, like I would look at that magazine and say there's a passion that you're putting into it, right? You know, the passion of bringing these different messages and bridging these gaps and kind of being a hub for information, you know what I mean, in some sort of way. And I guess that's the same thing. It's like, you know, and it kind of inspires you once you get one thing going good, that inspires you to want to, like, how else can I spread this? And so that it starts off as like a like just a pure passion thing, but then you're like, fuck, man, I just put 80 hours in this week on this. You know, my actual job's been slacking. Like, how do I also get paid in some form or fashion for all this time that you put into this stuff? Yeah. You know, and not be like a GoFundMe kind of thing, or like this like begging for money kind of attitude, you know? It's tough, man. Like, I don't really get it, you know? I don't know the right way to do it, but you know, it seems like a lot of shit that we use is free, right? You know, like you can listen to Pandora and get a lot of free music that you just want to listen to. You can listen to a couple commercials here and there. You can watch YouTube the same way. You can watch it for free, and you know, you just every once in a while you got to pay a couple. You know, you got to listen to a couple commercials, right? Or you can pay the fee. You know, which obviously if you're YouTube and you pay a fee, it's like we're talking like retarded numbers as opposed to like a motorcycle, anything motorcycle related. Like, it's weird seeing like and talking to different companies like Chris Callen and other podcasts and ones that we all think are huge, right? And you're like, you listen to the numbers, like, man, like, you know, some kid opened up a present on YouTube and just blew all of us out of the water.
Yeah.
Like,
seriously.
It's so small, man. It's really small, and you know, it's kind of scary when you're thinking about it, like, you know, like how small the motorcycle industry is, but it's ours. You know?
And it's weird with me because I have, you know, motorcycles is my biggest passion currently, but I've definitely had plenty of other passions growing up as a kid, and, you know, like skateboarding, BMX, dirt bikes. And so all those are passions, and it's hard being able to, like, because I'd like to include some of that stuff, you know, I'd like to include some of the BMX, some of the dirt bikes, some of the skateboarding, and some of my other media streams that I plan on going, like with YouTube, or, you know, I can't really do it with my Instagram. It just kind of sucks because you limit yourself. But like the cool thing about like with YouTube or something, you could include that on that platform and not get a bunch of backlash. If I put an article in my magazine about skateboarding, I'm gonna have a bunch of old dudes, you know,
like pissed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can't fucking
hipster.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but also like getting the exposure out there. You include one of those different scenes, in our scene. And then it might get a guy that has never ridden a Harley or never ridden a motorcycle before, but hey, this, you know, this post or this video or this podcast had this person that I look up to, or I like this shit, and now I'm more interested in the Harleys. And so it's bridging gaps, not only in the actual community of riding, but like just trying to find out. I mean, it's the question that, you know, the motor company's trying to figure out, like, how are we going to get the young dudes on bikes? And younger audience. And I don't think it's electric bikes. I think it's, I don't think it's electric bikes.
It's experiences, man.
It's experiences. It's, you know, like you've talked about in plenty of your podcasts where the adventure stuff is super cool to you. And the adventure market is good because you got a lot, like you talk about it, or you have a lot of people that are wanting to do camping, you know?
And
so everyone that wants to go camping that might see an adventure style bike, boom, they just bridged the gap right there. You know, so I think, you know, the rebellious stuff, the punk rock stuff that is the skateboarding relates right back to Harleys, you know? I always hear...
And that was the weird thing about like that Bloomberg article that we kind of went over with the Purpose Built podcast. That you see how like so many things that Harley already had that was bridging gaps, but it wasn't enough. You know what I mean? And I think that just goes back to that whole corporate monster kind of mentality of like constant growth, and you know, a plateau is like the death of you. You know?
And I mean, that Bloomberg article, I liked that podcast you did, the Purpose Built one, and I talked to different guys in the industry about that article. And some people think that article is twisted and wrong, and that it's giving Harley a very negative light, and that there is an agenda behind it, that there is kind of like a political agenda behind it, and that Bloomberg might not agree with more of the conservative Harley side, and they might be a lot more liberal, or I don't know, like politics, but they think that article is a little skewed in the fact that the industry is doing better than everyone is portraying it to be, but it's
and that's
not
what I heard as well.
Yeah,
I heard it was doing good actually.
Yeah, and it's not the new bikes that are doing good. Yeah, the new bikes aren't doing good for a number of different reasons, but if you look at used bike sales are up through all markets.
Yeah, I think we touched on that a little bit last night. I was like, honestly, I think that Mark from Texas Performance actually upped the stock in the Softails in general.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, like, you know, I think we kind of touched on this when we did it, but like a lot of the homies up here have been selling their Dynas and getting Softails, right? And then of course there's a lot of people that want FXRs. So, you know, there's kind of like this gap of Dynas where it's like, you know, people might hate me for this, but they're not as good as Softails, and they're definitely not as good as, they're handling wise, they're not as good as FXR. So they're kind of bikes that are like good entry level bikes now. Like, so I think that what I kind of realized last night when I was talking to Chris was like, man, like, I feel like it's the best bike for people to buy into, to see, you know, this style, this riding style, this performance market or this whatever. And it's like, if you want to upgrade, you can be like, okay, do you have the patience for an FXR? You go this way. If you want the turnkey, everything works every time and everything, you know, handles great, you go Softail.
Yeah.
But the Dyna is now the entry level bike to get in to find out if this type of style of motorcycling is for you.
Yeah.
You know, and you can get it. Dude, the last Dyna I was running around on, I paid $2,400 for.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It's like, come on, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I'll buy another one. I can't buy another one, but I would if I could. You know?
Yeah. And I don't know how about the Dallas market, because I mean I know a little bit, but it seems like it's pretty strong compared to like Central Texas. San Antonio, I think, kind of falls under that Central Texas.
Yeah.
But Houston, man, I was out there the last 2 days, and we went to shop after shop after shop, and every shop that we went to, the independent shop, every independent we went to in Houston was doing good.
Yeah.
Now we went to the dealership, and they were all slow. I mean, not all of them, but they, for the most part, were slow. And so an article with the motor company, you know, they might paint you a picture that doesn't look that bright, but you go and talk to the Dream Machines, the Lucky Penny, whoever reads motorcycles, the ones that are doing the used bike sales, and they'll say they're killing it, you know? And so it's like, all right, so what is the industry actually doing? You know, new bikes aside, like it's something completely different, and that falls on them, you know? But as far as us riders, I mean, I've been to a lot of events this last year, and they seem to be doing fairly well.
I feel like they're all growing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And there's a lot of new events that are just starting to build the traction. Yeah, exactly. You know? And so.
Well, that is what it is. That's kind of what I see as well. I mean, not a lot of people. I mean, someone's going to entry level get into a Softail. It's a good bike. It really is, but it's expensive. I mean, it's, roughly, you got to think like you're walking out the door with $20,000. You're buying a bike plus your TTNL and dealer fees and all this other shit. You're looking at $20,000 for a bike. That's what I paid for my 2012 Road Glide Special. Yeah.
Is that what you're riding now?
No, I mean my first one.
Oh,
the first one I bought in 2012.
Oh, okay.
The one I got now was $27,500. Before anything. So that's
Well, I paid the dealership price of a Fast Life paint job.
That's the best way to get it.
Especially if Maston was the one selling my bike. So I paid a pretty penny for my Dyna, especially it being a street bob.
Yeah.
But
But no, there's a, I think that the other thing that was weird, I think maybe you can attest to this because of like the different scenes that you've kind of dabbled in because of the magazine. It's like I went to another bike night here in Dallas at the Cotton Patch or the it's some kind of bike night where it's a real mixed crowd of like club guys. And I think I don't know if I was talking about this on a podcast or not, but club style in Texas is way different than club style in Cali, right? Mm-hmm. Club style in Texas is like a whole bunch of support patches, and like the bike is stock, but it's got like one of those braided whips on it.
Yeah,
and they dress more club style than their bike is club style.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then also I don't know if you feel the same way. Is they think they're the baddest motherfucker in the bar. So you pull up on a badass bike, they won't even look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because it's too much pride.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what it just irks me is because I'm always trying to support my local dealerships bike nights. And I'll get my buddies that do have the custom bikes to show up. They'll show up with, Dustin just picked up that new FXR.
Yeah.
And literally like one or two guys that were outside of our circle, maybe one.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't even think two, came up and actually showed respect to the bike. Like, don't shake the guy's hand that owns it. Like, just come and geek out on it because that bike has everything built on it. It was, the bike that Chris built.
Yeah.
And so, like, same thing is there was a ton of club dudes there, but no one came up and
the weird thing is though,
the
number one club though, they all fucking geek out on it from what I noticed. Like here, like all those dudes up here in the Texas number one club thing, those dudes come around and they're like, "Fuck, that's sick, that's dope."
Yes,
because they ride a lot of that type of shit.
You're right.
But all the other dudes,
yes,
it's all the ones with the patches.
Yes,
not the back patches, the front patches that are saying like, this, that, and the other. They dress all out like this. You never see those, like, I guess they're more there to just be seen.
Yeah.
And so the bikes, they're all like stock.
Yeah.
They're not really decked out. Like these guys don't ride that much. They ride to bars. Yeah. They ride to, strokers. They ride to bike nights and shit like that. They don't really, I don't know. It's just a different vibe, man.
Yeah.
And I think that our scene is all about riding. It's all about riding of some sort of fashion. And so we come up to those playings and, we feel cool because we do cool shit. You know what I mean? As opposed to like, just like dressing up, they're making fun of us because we wear Dickies, Vans, and flannels.
Yeah.
But
you've been on the West Coast. You've been all around the country. That, Texas, we have lifted trucks.
Yeah. Dude, but NorCal's fucking like, they do that shit to the extreme.
Yeah,
out
but
there.
they also got the bag trucks and the slam trucks, and they custom paint everything, And so, me being originally from California and then coming to Texas, like I don't see the custom trucking or like I don't see it in the custom. Yeah, there's plenty of custom cars in Texas. Like, don't take my words out of context.
Well, Texas is kind of like the king of the big truck thing.
Yeah, I agree. But I say, like, I drive these freeways all day long, and I don't see that many custom cars or trucks driving down the road to where maybe that's why you don't see as many custom motorcycles here because the custom thing isn't as big as in other places.
Well, another theory I was kind of like dabbling with in my head was like, the riding. Obviously things cost more in California, right? Just cost of living is more, but also the biker culture is more ingrained into their everyday life. Right. So you spend that much time on your bike, whether commuting or every time you got free time, you're ripping canyons or ripping somewhere, right? Or your club or whatever the hell you do up in Cali. And so these people are way more invested in their motorcycles. So looking at spending money on them to make them better or flashier or whatever the case may be, it's more justified as opposed to here where we do have like hardcore bikers here, but we also don't.
Yeah.
Like not as many people ride bikes in Texas as Cali.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
but yeah, I want to go to a bike night to where it's bike night about the bikes and not about, hey, how was your day at work? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I want to go
go.
and look around and look at different motorcycles and just,
So you want to go to a bike show?
yeah. Well, not a bike show, but like, I feel like a bike night, there should be enough custom bikes at a bike night to where I could go and talk to someone about motorcycles
Yeah.
and not have to just think of some random conversation to have with a guy. I want to go and, oh, like, where's your bike at? Let's go look at it. And it'd be a cool
Yeah,
enough bike
yeah.
that we could stand around and talk about what he's doing to it long enough. And there is a little bit of it here. I just don't.
It's not that much,
It's
man.
not every time,
No.
you know.
Well, I mean, also like I said, the performance market. I've been talking with whoever the guy is that runs Proper Baggers on Instagram. It's a pretty nice page. It's a lot of he reposts a lot of different style baggers and stuff. But and I've said this before in the podcast. The thing that the custom or the performance scene lacks is individuality. You know what I mean? Individuality comes through paint. It comes through with aesthetics that you have hand done, like a custom seat or custom this or custom that. Like you can do exhaust and things like that. Those can be hand built custom, but when you have a scene that has no individuality, you don't have a scene that's gonna last.
Yeah.
And and I keep saying this. I said it to fucking everybody in the scene. I'm like, it's cool that everybody wants to do carbon fiber, but how many more carbon fiber back ends on a bagger are you going to see in a parking lot? Or we don't see it a lot, but your scene is not going to inspire anybody to want to build bikes like that if it's all the same shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
people want to see cool bikes and they want to see how you took your personality and you threw it into this bike.
Yeah.
It can be a solid color. It could be a factory bike, but it needs to be individualized and not just a complete magazine or a complete catalog built bike.
Yeah.
And so that's what, in my opinion, the performance market is lacking right now because everybody is, rightfully so, they're spending all their money on the performance upgrades and the wheels and the BSTs and the fucking V111s and all this shit. But then their bikes look stock as fuck.
Yeah.
So they enjoy riding it themselves. They enjoy it because obviously everything they did to it makes the bike better. But for the people in the industry that are like setting the trends, when they do that as well, they're not building a scene for the future. They're just, selling a product for right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I do. And with my bike, I just recently relocated my Speedo, taking it off of my dash, putting it up on my risers. And when I went to go put it on my risers, I could not find a single manufacturer that had a speedometer for a newer style Dyna that didn't have the little dots.
Yeah.
So I got a guy right now building me one, but in the meantime, when I'm riding it right now, I have a Speedo dash or a Speedo holder that holds my speedometer up on my risers. But that's one of the reasons I did it. I hadn't seen, I mean, I know you do it on your bikes.
Well, Mark is one of the guys that does that a lot personally, but yeah, I know what you mean. I got to piss real quick. Hold on. Yeah. We're back. No, man, that's exactly what I think that, the podcast, these magazines, it's about bringing up things, talking about shit. You don't have to be right. You just got to express ideas or concerns or whatever. And you talk about it and it inspires you, through talking with somebody else and their perspectives and stuff like that. So,
but yeah, you're probably right. I did get that relocation idea from Mark, but it makes sense. It was one of the things I hated when I was doing over 100 miles an hour, and I had to look down. Look down. It was such a pain in the ass. So now that Speedo is right there.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I'm like, man, should have I just got rid of my Speedo and set up the thing to where my phone,
Yeah.
because they got those apps like Waze.
Yeah.
You know, Waze will tell you where all the cops are at too, and so it'll tell you how fast you're going. It'll tell you where all the cops are at, and I was like, man, should I just got something to set up? But no, I think I did it right. I mean,
Dude, I didn't even have a gauge on my FXR, so
did you have this thing for like set up your phone to find
No.
out how fast you're going or anything?
no. I just had a gas gauge. That's the only gauge I really gave a fuck about.
Okay.
And it didn't work that well either.
Yeah. Yeah, so my dash is smooth now. The only thing is that indicator bar that shows if I'm in neutral and stuff or turning. But I wanted to bring that to you.
Yeah.
Get that dash piece painted to match the tins, and mag wheels, dual front discs.
Oh, you had spokes on that thing, right?
Yeah, I know. And I want to get mag wheels, dual front discs. There's
The
one
single rotor performance, man. That's where it's at.
Yeah, I know. No, I want to do a few more things, and then I'll finally be happy about putting it in shows. I know when
Do you
we
plan on doing any kind of like trips or anything next year, or like really trying to get out?
Yeah,
there
I
and ride?
definitely want to go to Sturgis. I know that me and Dustin were talking about doing like Blue Ridge Parkway.
Dude, I don't know if he was trying to plan something this last or either this year or the year before. I can't remember. My years are fucked up right now, but I think it was this year where he wanted to take a trip with his dad and some other people out to Blue Ridge and do Maggie Valley and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
they did have it planned, and then a bunch of guys bailed out at the last minute.
It was
and-
hard to commit, dude. I keep telling everybody. That's why I haven't even talked. I talked to Dustin like very briefly today. Just seeing how he was and stuff. But the Texas Hills being in June, like that's. I'm not gonna say not good because I don't want to like discourage people to go, but there's too much shit going on in June, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got Born Free, you got Rot Rally, you got FXR Jam. Mm-hmm. It's all right there.
Yeah.
Like May was a good spot because there's really nothing going on in May. I don't know the reasonings behind it, but hopefully, like I said, man, that's a show that I really enjoy, and I wanted to make it. But I'm also committing to a 2-week trip to Cali in June, and then July is kind of like the recovery month to get ready to go to Sturgis. So when you have like events, like I was saying earlier, like the shows like Easy Riders and IMSs, like they do these in the wintertime because there's so much shit going on between March and October that it's really hard to find, to get your riding in because most of the northern states like Michigan and all this shit, like I want to do the trip to Michigan, but I can't do that till May.
Yeah.
Or, I was wanting to go in April, but it's looking like May.
Yeah.
Just to be able to make the trip in the decent weather,
Yeah. And then between the events and the deadlines, you're fucking going, I just want to have a good time. I just want to have a good time. And then you got to flip the switch to like, okay, now I got this paint that this guy wants to go and have a good time on this brand new bike. And so now you have a deadline, and making that transition is hard. I know.
The biggest thing, and this is applying to you too now that you're all into this, is that every time you're putting into doing these trips, you're not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, you might be promoting or putting things out there. Even for us, like we'll be able to do podcasts when we do it. But realistically, I'm taking 2 weeks off of work, so the things that pay my livelihood are not being done right now.
Yep.
So you do too many of those back to back to back to back. It can domino affect you into a hole, which. I don't know or if you have 3 wrecks in cars in a year, like I did, that'll put you in a hole as well.
Yeah.
Kind of the same concept. So
yeah, exactly. And this newest issue is the only one that I didn't have like a definite deadline. The one before is like, okay, Southern Throwdown's here. I want to have the magazines here for Southern Throwdown. The one before that I think was Rock Rally, and the one before that was another event to where I had these deadlines I had to beat. This one, luckily, thank God I didn't have a deadline because I had I didn't wreck 3 cars or whatever, but I had some pretty significant life events happen that, I didn't get the magazine out in the first week of January like I like to. It wasn't until the second week that I was able to get it out, and luckily no one was upset. None of my advertisers were upset or anything like that. It all worked out just fine. But deadlines they're a real thing when it comes to this publishing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for us, man. It's also a domino effect. I mean, like, you know, when you're if everything you do, you're putting 100% of you into it, and you want everything to be kind of like we were talking about before this podcast. Like, you want to make sure that your name is good on everything you do. Mm-hmm. Well, if you told a dude it's 3 weeks and it takes 4, you know what? I'm more concerned about making sure that you're getting the quality that I promise from being who I am.
Yeah.
And so that also, you know, I don't want that to happen, but it does, and it also causes a domino effect on other future projects. Mm-hmm. So you can find yourself in a hole for a month or two trying to make up the time, but also giving the next project the same type of exclusivity of your attention and your the quality of work you want to do. And I think it applies to your magazine as well. It's like, you know, you want to put out a quality, you know, piece, you know, that people aren't going to just take and then throw away.
Yeah.
You know, you want them to read it. You want them to check it out. You want them to be
passing it to their friends.
Yeah. Like, dude, check this out. It's dope, man. Pick one up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, one of those like significant life events that I had this last issue is my graphic designer had a baby. So I had to find a new graphic designer for this issue, which thankfully my roommate Alex Wheaton, he does a lot of graphic design. And so he's the graphic designer for this issue, and he did such a good job. We're going to continue to go with Alex on the way forward.
Yeah, that's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He brings a different flair to the magazine that the last graphic designer didn't have, just because they weren't a biker. And they, you know, so like there was some font styles that
didn't
vibe with everything. And Alex brings a whole lot of good.
Yeah, and Alex is one of the dudes that puts on Texas Hill Show.
Yeah.
And he's a marketing
for
Cowboy.
Yep. He's, you know, super smart dude. Great to have him on the team. He ever since day one with Biker Living, he's always been super supportive, and you know, it's cool that he's my roommate. We stayed up till probably 3 or 4 a.m. countless nights trying to get this thing finally finished.
But isn't it fun though?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Looking back on it, like, those are the things that, you know, we really bond on, you know, and like, man, remember that time we stayed till 4 in the morning?
You know, I was talking to my brother recently. I don't know if it might have been the day, actually. That's how fucked up my time frame is. But I was like, you know, 3 years ago, like, we used to bang out like 5 full baggers a month, right? That's a lot for 2 dudes, you know, me and my brother. And I was like, you remember we used to be up here till 3 in the morning every night, and we used to hate it? It's like, kind of miss it though, right? He goes, yeah, I kind of do. It's like, yeah, it's like, it's weird because I don't have the energy to do that anymore. You know what I mean? But
were you single back then?
No, I had my, you know, my relationship, but, you know, like, when you do this for a living, like, when this is it, right? It sucks to say this, but this is the most important thing, is to make sure that this takes place, and this is quality, and what you're putting out is the best thing in the world that you can provide. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. You know, because if you come, you know, if you go try to pay your bills next week on, oh, you know, I had to take care of my family, you know, I had to spend time with my girlfriend or my wife or whatever. Well, like, motherfucker, rent's due, bitch. Yeah. You know, like, you should have been up till 6 in the morning doing this. You should have been doing that. So, it's a different set of cards that you're playing with. Yeah. And in some ways, you know. And
I mean, it is fun, but also not procrastinating is also really fun. Like, so yeah, with me doing this full time, I've also had to do like a little bit of side gigs where, you know, if I have to like roll up my sleeves and get dirty a few days out of the week or a few days out of the month, just so I know that my bills are going to be paid, that's what I had to do. So where some of that stuff, I wanted to make sure my shit was getting paid. Some other things got put on the back burner, and so there was nights where I had to stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning. But going forward, I'd like to, you know, stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock, not 4 o'clock in the morning to where I'm useless the next day. But yeah, it's a balancing act, and
So I like your idea you were talking about earlier about like trying to make an audio version, and even like I said, man, doing a podcast would be cool too. Just being able to like to have a more in-depth interview with some of the people that you talk to on here. I mean, the good thing about podcasts, man, is that like we can all talk to the same people and get a different conversation.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So there's plenty of room for more motorcycle related podcasts. And the other good thing about your magazine, man, is that you have a gap, you have a bridge that you provide to bridge between a world that we can't walk into. You know, so I think that's, like I was saying earlier about like most of our listeners and our generation's perception on like certain events is very obscure because we don't see the connection between like the Rot Rally crowd partying and the Giddy Up crowd partying because the people look different and the vehicles look different, but the party's the same.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Just get out. Like that's what we were saying earlier. Yeah, you might hear some bad shit about some of these rallies that have been around for 20 years, but if you've never been to them, don't listen to someone else's opinion on the rally and make it your own opinion. Go out there, experience it. Go to the different, campsites that have the different people that you normally wouldn't hang out with and get a vibe with them. And like,
well, you know, the one thing that I know I hear a lot that I think like takes away the perception of the event was, oh man, Rod Rally sucks, man. Nobody's riding. I'm like, motherfucker, you riding to Rod Rally.
Yeah.
You know, like the same thing with bike nights. You ever, some people come to bike nights and they're there for 15 minutes and they're like, they're antsy. They just want to go ride. Fuck this, man. I'm not into like sitting in a parking lot riding. I'm like, there's certain scenes for everything. Like, like when I was 20 and I rode bike, or 21, 22 and I rode bikes, we rode bikes to hang out in club parking lots and pick up chicks walking out the club. That's what we did. We had a good time riding from one club to another. Yeah. You know what I mean? Of course, we don't have any mountains here in Dallas Fort Worth to like, rip around. Yeah. So that's our riding, right? It's the same thing with Rot Rally. It's like you're riding to Rot Rally, and then party. Yeah. If you don't want to, if you want to go ride and go tour the country, there's plenty of times to do that. But these events are for bringing people together. Mm-hmm. Motorcycle is the glue. It might not be a huge riding event as opposed to like maybe a Sturgis is, or, riding a Born Free or something. But, even Giddy Up. Like, Giddy Up's a good time. There's a nice road. River Road's a badass road to ride down. Yeah. But how many times are you going to ride that in the weekend? Like, realistically, we're here to have a good time and party, man. Yeah. Yeah.
And no, I agree. And it's weird. So when you go out to the West Coast and you go to a bike night out there, is it kind of like what I'm looking for? Like where people are actually...
No, it's the same.
It's just hanging out.
It's hanging out.
Like, you're not like really revolved around the bikes though?
Yeah, they are. But I mean, think about it. How many times like say the T-Bar bike night that we do, right? Yeah. We see the same dudes and the same bikes every week. Like we don't give a fuck about them anymore. And also we see them online. Yeah. So, at some point you're kind of like over it. Mm-hmm. Like maybe if you saw a bike, like, of course none of us up here really have a complete custom out bike anymore. But maybe if you saw one, like if you're a new guy to the bike night and that bike's there and you haven't seen it before, like the Corey from Main Drive, I did a podcast with him last month and he had came to our bike night and, he was on a Softail, but it was all fucking like Friscoed out, fucking just dope as fuck. I was like, dude, this is sick. Yeah. I was like, we have to podcast tomorrow. You know what I mean? And but that's the thing. It's like we talked about bikes because we had that one come in, but every scene, every part of the country seems to have like a different bike night. Yeah. I've been to the Big Wheel Bagger bike nights of North Carolina, and it's a stereo competition. Mm-hmm. Like, you know how annoying that is? Yes. Like, hey, we're talking about the bike, and next thing you know, fucking Nelly's blasting over your ear. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Like, I'm having a conversation, man. Yep. But then there's also the bike nights where it's like you create bonds with everybody and just chilling and having that escape from work and being on the bike and knowing that these dudes here are also bike guys, and you're just, it's like therapy, man. Mm-hmm. In some aspects. It just, there's so many different facets of a bike night. It just really depends on the vibe of what it is. You know?
And I probably have a messed up view, like how I was talking earlier.
They're all
like,
different. That's how you got
Yeah.
to look at them.
Yeah. And, but yeah, it's weird.
I think that's what's going to be cool about Easy Rider show, mainly because Easy Riders is all custom bikes,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's really going to be it's going to be awesome here in Texas because I think it's really going to bridge a big gap. That's what I said when I first heard they were coming back, and
But do you think all the cool guy chopper guys will show up to the Easy Riders?
if they're smart,
I don't think they will, though.
that's fine.
Yeah. They're too cool, man.
I get that vibe. I get that vibe. Dude, so Nitty Gritty, man. I was so fucking drunk that night.
Yeah.
I had to apologize to a few people the next day. I was like, you know what? I was on rant mode, and I was just kind of going off on shit.
I heard about that just the other day that you and someone else almost got into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we got into it. I just was like, just too opinionated.
Yeah.
Way too opinionated, which I definitely have a tendency to be when I drink. But the thing is, man, like, is our chopper culture here in Texas is really strong. Mm-hmm. We have some really, in my opinion, major players in the chopper game, in the vintage chopper game. From the people that put on Giddy Up, from the Matt Jackson and Joey Cano, and is it John Collins is the other dude?
Yeah.
So you got, and I don't know, there's one more guy, and then up here in Dallas, you got your Oliver Peck and your fucking Chemical Candy, Chopper Supply. I mean, just, a lot of really talented people, really cool people, right? And the thing is that those bikes create a party atmosphere that other types of bikes like to enjoy. Mm-hmm. So they have, in my opinion, they have a power to bring a lot of bikes together in a very harmonic way. Mm-hmm. And to make it so exclusive to where nobody else is allowed, other bike scenes are allowed. It's kind of a weird argument on my end. Like, I get it why they don't, but that's why you see, Big Will Cody coming in on a fucking Big Will bagger to Nitty Gritty, because he's down. He loves this atmosphere.
Yeah.
It just sucks that this atmosphere is only privy to one type of bike.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's the argument.
I just don't know how many pre-84 shows you're going to have to, have. There's, a lot of pre-84 chopper shows. And
I mean, we have plenty. We really
have
do.
plenty.
We need more shows that are kind of
open.
That are open to any kind of bike, but regulated, like where you really have some dudes coming around like, dude, you're fucking being a fucking cunt, dude. You need to chill the fuck out and have a good time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it really is. I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to control it, right? Mm-hmm. You just got to let it be what it is. But I tell everybody in the chopper scene, even Zombie Mike, I was like, dude, like, this chopper scene is inspiring, man. I just don't want to ride one of them choppers.
Yeah.
I love the people. I love the event. I love the vibe.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, if you take all the Dynas, FXRs, and Sportsters out of these chopper shows, then you got like 15 people running around the same shows everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever rode around on a rigid frame chopper?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was rigid frame, but FXR Mike let me ride his Shovelhead back from Giddy Up for a couple miles, pretty much a couple miles, and it sucked. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what kind of Shovelhead was it?
It was like an 83 shovel. Had some.
Was it an FXR?
No, it was just shovel.
Oh, okay.
Just like a FXE type setup. I think it was swing arm, but it was a jockey shift. It was fun. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it would be a travel bike for me.
Yeah, because the oldest bike I rode was probably today. It was a 1979 Ironhead, and it sucked compared to it wasn't fun, but also it was just a normal, completely restored 1979 Sportster Ironhead, so it didn't have that cool guy look. But Zombie as much as I do. Like, he swears up and down. He's like, I'm gonna buy a little Sportster and just learn how to do wheelies and ride that thing like a
Zombie's
dirt bike.
full of shit.
And that's what I told him. I told him I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that. He's like, fuck that. You need to get you a rigid frame chopper. And I was like, why? Why would I want to get that? And he's like, you feel like the coolest motherfucker.
Okay,
on the
when
road.
Zombie rides that shovelhead he had built, he is definitely on the top 10 cool list in Texas, right?
Yes.
I will say that. And I would totally want that bike so bad.
Yes.
But also Zombie was a dude on an FXR and a Dyna too.
Yeah.
So he that's why he's such a cool dude, because he really understands the bridging and the gapping between these all these cultures and whatnot. But you know, you look at like a lot of people in our industry in Texas, you know, the chopper guys, most of these dudes are riding Dynas to work. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. And so Zombie and Dustin and everybody really made a big push this year to try to get, you know, Dynas and FXRs as a part of the Giddy Up show. And we were this close. You know, we were fucking there, and then it got pulled at the last minute. And I think that Giddy Up itself needs to, you know, open up to that.
Yeah.
Because it's a big culture that has been paying the fucking bills there for quite a while now.
Yeah.
That, you know, that deserves a little fucking attention and respect, in my opinion. You know? Instead, we ended up getting pushed over to green, which is not the worst thing in the world. But, you know, like, our cultures are not that much different. Mm-hmm. The performance bike culture and the chopper culture, everybody's partying the same. We're all wearing Chopper Supply hats. We're all fucking, you know, we're all doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Like, it should be open to all of us, man. Mm-hmm. And that's what's cool about Nitty Gritty, is because, you know, we can have our bikes there. You know, I don't know. I didn't put my...
Yeah,
we
can't.
I'm not trying to pull...
Yeah, it was
a
1984 only.
Okay.
It was 1984, and it was pre-1984 only. And yeah.
Well, at least that's a good thing about, like, I mean, there are shows like Southern Throwdown you could bring. They had a big wheel bagger in there last year.
But that was very frowned upon. Like, they didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, they did it, though.
Yeah, 'cause they talked to, I mean, I heard on...
I know that the guy that did it was the All-Star Baggers.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Because Dan talked to Oliver about it on one of his podcasts, and Oliver's like, dude, that guy totally just snuck that shit in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was just standing in front of his bike telling everyone he paid $10,000 for that front wheel. And
But you know what? Like think about it, though, man. Like, is that bad? I mean,
no.
You know,
especially if people are geeking out that are at this show. Like you said the other day, you ride around with Cody all the time that has a big wheel bagger, and you pull up to a gas station and people are looking at that big wheel bagger when there's an FXR right next to it, and it's like, you know what I mean? And so
I think that, like, you know, this is something that Kenny Kirk said to me, the guy that owns Chopper Supply. He was like, man, like, these FXRs, these Dynas, even these baggers, they're just the new school of choppers. Now, I think that the one difference between some of these bikes and these vintage choppers is the crowd, right? But if you're at Giddy Up, you know, because the same dude, you know, my buddy Art that brought that big wheel bagger into Southern Throwdown, he was at Giddy Up last year too, hanging out with us. He just didn't bring a bike down there. He'd be down to party, but if he's the minority, he's gonna be chill. Mm-hmm. It's just that if you get like 40 big wheel baggers, like then you got to regulate those motherfuckers, because they start dancing on their seats and shit.
Yeah,
you know I mean?
yeah.
But you know, you let two in, you let one dude that built like Chris Moose builds a sick ass big wheel bagger. That thing's more chopper than half the fucking people that's built choppers in Texas. Mm-hmm. But is it okay to say that that's not chopper enough?
Yeah.
What is a chopper now? Is it? Or I guess it's all vintage choppers now.
Yeah.
But then it goes back to my next argument is, you know, Adam Garley built some sick ass fucking choppers back in the you know, Garley's Garage, back in the you know, the era of the billet chopper things. Very talented, right? Very talented dude that's built some machine stuff, done all kinds of shit. But you're gonna say that this guy that, like, you know, bought a fucking Paco rear end and fucking, you know, put it on a chopper, and that dude's more qualified to be a chopper builder than someone that made shit from scratch?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the argument, man.
Yeah, and you're right. A lot of these parts that you could even get on a vintage bike, they're getting out of the catalog, you know.
Yeah,
they're getting
no
gas
worse than
tank.
anybody else.
Mm-hmm. But I was meeting with a guy today that he also did a lot of the OCC or the billet chopper stuff, and
Yeah.
he was, you know, he bitched a little bit about my Dyna or whatever, and He
Fuck
said,
that guy.
Yeah, I know, right? And then I asked him, I was like, okay, what about the vintage chopper scene? Have you seen that come up? And he's like, I mean, a little bit, but fuck a shovel head or fuck anything older than that. I'll just send it down the road to whoever. I'm not going to deal with it. And it's like, you're telling, like, you're cutting your own throat. Like,
Yeah.
it's coming up, and there's opportunity for your talent to be on that bike and still make it cool. Yeah, it's not going to look like something, you know, on OCC or whatever, but you can still take your touch and your fabrication and all these things that you're good at and put it on an old school bike, and then all of a sudden now you're next Mr. Cool Guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like
Yeah.
you're the next chopular dude. But since you're limiting yourself to, no, I only do big wheel baggers and that's it, then that's on you. You know
Well,
what I mean?
You know, I was talking to some friend, like also All-Star recently. I had done some repair work for him, and I was hanging out at the shop. We were talking. I'm gonna bring him on the podcast one day, but you know, right now in the big wheel bagger scene, you know what the most popular thing is? Stereos.
Yes.
So I was talking like AP Custom Cycles.
AMP out of Houston.
Yeah. So they came up. He bought my welder that I had to sell because I wrecked my car.
Yeah, he just talked about you.
So, you know, we were hanging out and he was telling me like, dude, they kill it in stereos. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's where he came from. That's where
Yeah.
Pete. That's where Pete comes from.
and don't take this as hate. I'm not hating on it. I think it's cool that they found a market and they're doing their thing in it. But, you know, like when I think about myself on a bike in the middle of, you know, the Midwest or the fucking Wyoming riding across the country, I'm not thinking about how cool my stereo is.
No.
You know, and I'm not saying that there's not a place for it, because obviously if you're around the town kind of biker, then badass stereo is like that's some cool shit. You know, you're pulling up in gas stations playing, you know, fucking, you know, I can't use Nell anymore. Let's just say, what's another good rap song? I don't know. Fucking, you know how it is. There's always
2 Chainz.
2 Chainz. You're playing some 2 Chainz and shit, and you know, because nobody ever fucking plays like you're not gonna hear some Merle Haggard or some.
But I think
goddamn
it's the
Black Keys
funniest
on there.
thing. I think it's the funniest thing when you're out at like an ice house outside the city and towards the country, and you see this old, you know, gray-haired white dude pull up bumping like some techno music. I'm like,
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
you know.
That is it. Because they're doing that because they, you know, like there's like those things that, and I noticed this with All-Star Baggers. When they started doing a lot of stereos, they were like playing more techno music, and I'm like, there's some of that shit that I can vibe with, that I can really dig, but like realistically, the shit ain't on my fucking playlist. You know what I mean? But they
either.
play it because it's like they can show the range of sounds with their shit. Like listen to the bass, listen to the highs, listen to the
Yeah.
mids, and they can be like the more wow factor for their stereo system.
yeah.
I'm like, man, like if you're a country motherfucker, I want to hear some goddamn Garth Brooks Thunder Road coming
Hell
here.
yeah.
Be who you are, motherfucker.
Yes.
If you're an 80s hairband dude, let's hear some Poison, bro.
Yes,
Put it
exactly.
on. You know, like if you're a Nirvana guy, like rape me, motherfucker. You know, I
Yeah,
want to hear that shit.
exactly.
I just hate seeing a guy that you know damn motherfucking well does not listen to that shit for a living.
Exactly, and you see it time after time again, and it's like, did you see that white dude with the rebel flag tattoo and the, you know?
He has some Young Jeezy on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude.
Late, there's some fucking 3-6 Mafia or some
Yeah.
shit, late night tip.
But Pete's killing it. Pete's one of those guys down in Houston. AMP, I don't know what it is, but it's AMP out of Houston, and he is killing it. And it's not just, his bread and butter is the stereos. But shit, I just went to my performance guy that does.
TDC, right? Or which one was the one down there? That you were in Houston, right?
Yeah, no, I was in Houston at a TDC, but that wasn't the performance guy I was at. But I was at a performance guy just today, dropping off magazines, and he's the really good dyno guy, and you know, he does a lot of Olin's, Race Tech front end. Like
Was it accelerated or what?
No, it's Shamrock Cycles. His name's Nick.
Okay.
He's one of the, you know, in my opinion, one of the best dyno tuners in Texas and stuff. But
Nice. I never heard of the guy.
yeah, I reached out to Maston because he actually offered me, my buddy Nick at Shamrock offered me some really hooked up stuff, and I reached out to Maston before I went to him, and It's like, Maston, what do you know about? And Maston knows a lot.
Everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And so, what do you know about Nick? And Nick's like one of the best dyno tuners in Texas. And so I talked to a few other club guys that have been around a long time, and they're like, they all said the same thing. I was in at Nick's shops today, and he was like, dude, I put in probably $8,000 worth of Rockford Fosgates in the last 2 weeks. He goes, I don't know what it is, but everyone's
on that shit.
yeah. And he doesn't. I mean, he does care. Like, he would much rather just tune bikes and put in. He has my roommate Kendall's FXR in his shop right now with the 111 on that he's fully going through, and it's a crate 111 that not even a year old already has the whole top end.
I've heard so many horror stories about those 111s.
See, I have too. And then I was at some other shops, and they were like, "No, they're solid." And I'm like, "The head bolts."
Have you talked to Maston lately?
No, not lately.
So Maston got a 111 in that FXR that him and his wife rode her bike, and he rode the FXR that he has. They rode all the way to Cali and back, and then they had problems with it, man, when they got back. And so he sent it. He told me he sent it to SNS, and they, obviously, don't get me wrong, like, they've had issues with these motors, but SNS has been standing behind everything, right? So he ended up, like, sending all the shit back, and then he was like, ended up being like, hey, I think I just want to go up to a 124. Like, so they ended up cutting him a deal on a 124. He did that, and then he had issues with that, with like some top end shit, and it's like what it sounds like some motherfuckers that came to work on Friday and was just trying to fucking bang out shit and get off work. You know what I mean?
Do you know a lot about that SNS?
Which part?
Like the Smith and Smith.
So I don't know too much about the actual.
So SNS is this is all coming from Nick, and I'm just kind of like hopefully
regurgitating.
Yeah, exactly, and hopefully I'm accurate. But so Smith and Smith is what it actually stands for, SNS. And I can't remember the guy's first name, but it was like Mr. Smith, like probably a year or two, decided to retire. And so he is no longer has anything to do with the company. Even before that, he wasn't the CEO, but he was like still like CEO would make a decision. They'd go talk to Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith would kind of be like yes or no. Like, no, you're not going to cut the quality on my head bolts. My head bolts need to stay that type of metal because they need to be torqued down to 43 pounds of foot torque in order to, remain tight. And so since he left, a lot of the stuff, instead of having the engineers kind of decide what's going in the engine, going on those engines, it's no longer the engineers, but it's the accountants. And so if the accountants could save, a few pennies here,
well, that would
and
make
there,
sense with the whole corporate mindset of like, shareholders and shit.
Yep.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, SNS is definitely a publicly traded company.
Yeah, yep.
So
it is, and it has been. But Mr. Smith, the guy that Smith and Smith Racing or whatever it is, he just recently stepped away from the company. I think a little over a year ago, and that's when you could kind of see some of the changes. Before that, for the longest time, they would cover under warranty labor and parts, and now it's only parts, and just trying to get parts out of them is still like pulling teeth, I've been told. But like the head bolts, they're supposed to be torqued down to 43 or 45 pounds-foot of torque, but Nick said every one that he's gotten out of the crate and put in the bike, they were all around 20-something foot-pounds of torque, and they're not even torqued down hard enough.
So like going back through it. Well, that was the one good thing about like that Ultima motor. I had a brand new Ultima motor in that bike on the cover there. Mm-hmm. And I'm a dumbass, so I thought I bought an SNS motor. I didn't know.
Damn.
So it was a 113, so I just assumed like, oh shit, it's a 113. Like fuck. I didn't even think about Ultimas and RevTechs and all these other companies, right? And so I ran all the parts down to Mark, and he split the cases, and he was giving me the cases back because I was going to Cerakote them all and shit. And when he split the cases, and was like, dude, why does the crank say Ultima? Like, why would SNS use Ultima cranks? Like, that's weird. And then I was like, oh shit, like, I got an Ultima motor. I thought I bought a brand new SNS 113.
Is that what it was advertised as?
It was a Craigslist deal. It was just like a 113 kind of deal. I didn't
Too good to be true.
It was like $2,500, brand new,
Okay.
just a polished motor that, FXR Mike told me, he's like, dude, if you want to find like a good motor, go find the chopper shops in town that aren't doing choppers anymore.
Yeah.
Because they have all these Evo motors laying around that they were going to build a bike with. They didn't. And then twin cams came along and baggers came along. So there's like motors sitting around.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And like Pickard had one. Pickard didn't do anything wrong. I'm the idiot. Mm-hmm. I said, hey, I texted him. I said, hey, do you got any like old Evo motors, like SNSs laying around, like any kind of motors? He goes, I got a 113 right here at El Bruto. And I'm like, I didn't really look at the El Bruto part. I'm like, 113? Fuck, he's got an SNS 113 right there.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, how much you want? 2,500? Done.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll be there next week with some cash. And so that was the case. And then when I picked it up, Ultimas have SNS rocker boxes on them. So, and it didn't have an air cleaner on it or anything like that. So there was nothing to like throw me off. So when I didn't know the SNS has like an SNS insignia on the case or on the cases and the heads. Yeah. So I was real nervous about the whole motor, right? So when Mark split the case, I was like, dude, just figure out whatever it is, whatever the specs are, just build this bike to spec when we put this back together, right? And he did. And I got 20,000+ miles out of it, like to the T, like good shit out of it. I can't complain. But then I heard, Masson had problems with his 111. I've heard so many people have 111 problems because they would buy the bike, they buy them and put them in, and then you're like at the mercy of whoever put that bike together and whether it was a Monday through Friday build.
Yeah.
Whether they cared enough or not.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I was talking to Nick about. I was like, so Nick was going on and on about having these issues with SNS over and over again. I go, okay, Nick, if it's not SNS, who is it? Like, can it be Ultima? Who can it be? And he's like, no one. Like, that's, I didn't ask him about gyms. Do you know much about gyms? Is there...
gyms are good, but I don't know much about their motors.
Okay.
I know they built a lot like 131s with twin cams and stuff that was real big in the bagger world, but in the chopper world, like the billet chopper world, but I don't know much about their motors everybody uses Jim's tools.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and so I was asking Nick, I was like, if it's not SNS, what is it? And he's like, bring me a 103, bring me a 110, and let me rip that bitch apart, bore out the heads, and then I'll make that shit bulletproof.
I'm glad you said that, man. That's the one thing that I think that people are losing sight on, right? They're more focused on what they can buy off a shelf as opposed to what they can have made for them. Mm-hmm. And I think that, whether it's this, like, would you say the Shamrock Cycles or whatever?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to down or anything, but just a guy like that, or a guy like my boy, or a guy like anybody in the country that can build you a motor, go make a relationship with the shop and stop being a fucking internet whore.
Yes. Yes.
Put some money in somebody's pocket that you shook their hand. You know that the money you just gave this dude is paying something that you can instead of going on fucking Revzilla and going on all these man. It's
and I can't speak this for every shop and brick and mortar shop out there, but I could say that when it comes to the internet versus buying it at the shop, you will probably get a better price at the shop. People are like, I hear it all the time on your podcast, on different, just talking to shop owners and different people, and everyone thinks they're getting a deal when they go on the internet.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. The same Legends that you bought off of legend.com, you could go to your local Harley shop and you could probably get them for cheaper than you got them off the internet for. And not only that, they're going to tell you everything how to set those motherfuckers up. You know what I mean? And so,
you can have a hands-on experience with the shop that put them on and dealt with it, as opposed to a email conversation with somebody at Legends or at whatever company, so to speak. But the thing is, and I've said this before, is like the shop that you paid an extra $10 more for the part, or the shop that you paid the labor for that you were bitching about, is also the shop that might be open on Saturday to fix your flat tire so you can make your fucking poker run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if it's just the position I'm in with the magazine and people kind of wanted me to pat my back, I'll pat your back thing, or like, I don't know what it is, but I have not seen the $10 more on the part. Yeah, I'm going to have to pay labor to get them to put it on.
Well, the main thing is like the tax difference because most people are buying from Revzilla out of a part of the country that's not taxed. So you look at the tax, you buy a brand new motor, a fucking S&S motor from a shop, you're looking at tax as opposed to like online and getting it shipped in. It's different. But the thing is like there needs to be a pride in knowing that you're helping keep local brick and mortars alive. As long as that shop is a legitimate stand up person, you know what I mean? And with the internet, like how can you not figure out if they are or not? Can you not go to you can either go to someone's Instagram, their Yelp or their Facebook or whatever, see reviews or hashtag a motherfucker on Facebook and find out if people are talking shit about them or not. You can easily find out who's quality and who's not.
Yeah. And I mean, I have a local leather store, just riding gear store. I bought my girl a jacket, a leather jacket. It was marked $222. I got it for $130. I have a pair of riding boots. They were marked $180. I got them for $120. Like at my shop that I like to take my bike to, they have a pair of adjustable brakes and clutches that I think it's ARP. It's they're adjustable.
The levers?
Yeah, the levers, and they were marked $222. He said he'd give them to me for $160, $170. It's like, dude, these savings are ridiculous, and they're not trying to say like, hey, I'll sell it to you and it comes with my labor.
It also depends on like the person. Like,
yes.
If you as a customer walk into a shop and you're like pushing for the fucking deals instead of just being there to support the shop, it's kind of like when you're the guy that's asking for the hookup versus the guy that's, like as a shop, you want to hook up the guy that is not
there
asking
to support you.
Yeah, he's like, man, like whatever the cost is, like, man, dude, I'll just do it for this much. But the dude is like, hey, man, what's my price? Like, your price is retail, bitch.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I got to piss again. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, man. No, but, I've seen people that come on the scene, and they want to start a shop. And there's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur and wanting to start a shop, especially in like a garage shop,
Yeah.
Like, fuck, Rusty D&D started in his garage and built up a business and was able to get the necessary means to afford to buy out D&D, and now he's the guy.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to be... You can't try to... You don't compete with the internet. That's the first thing. And you don't undercut people. It like... A lot of people think that, like, when you're starting a shop, it's about being the cheapest guy. It's about... No, it's about being quality.
Yeah.
But
it's all, I think a lot of it is like educating, like especially in this scene that I feel like your podcast is more in, is like the performance style thing. There's a lot of younger guys in this scene, so they might not, like, for me, for instance, I didn't know I could go to the drag book and get Olin's.
Yeah.
And so once I found that out, and I was like, well, shit, I'm really good friends with this drag rep right here, this drag dealer, or this shop that has a drag dealership.
You don't have to go to Big Bear.
You don't have to go to Big Bear. You don't have to buy it online.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I'm saying, like the experience that comes along with buying it from a shop is way more than the $20 you might save from shipping or no tax. But yeah, I think it's also educating the consumer to know that, like, not only are you possibly going to get a better deal with better service, but you're also putting food on that person's table for those, for that family or whoever that shop. Yeah. And I mean,
yeah, I will say this though, like the only place I draw the line for myself and supporting shops is if that shop, the owner, the people there are really into motorcycles. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, there's a lot of people in there that, you know, there's fabricators out there that are very talented in building shit, that they're just more into the fabrication side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really talking about those. I'm talking about the guys that you know, change oil, change tires, you know, maintenance bikes, do upgrades, all this shit, and eat, sleep, and shit motorcycles. Those guys are the guys I want to support more than anything, because all the money that I invest in them, I feel like I'm investing into a community.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm investing into our what's the fucking financial word I'm looking for? It's right there.
Industry?
Industry or market.
Yeah.
You know?
Like the money's staying in.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, for the most part, like, as weird as this is, like, somebody, like, painters are one of the main things I talk about. Is like, there's a lot of really badass painters out there, and hey, you know, if this dude's your style, that's your style. I'm not knocking that, but, you know, like when I was having seats built, I used a guy out of Arkansas. His name was James Carter. And the reason being is because A, I liked his work, but B, the motherfucker was at Sturgis every year on a bike riding. You know, he was doing shit on a bike. He's a biker.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, you know, my money I was putting into a seat was going into another biker's hands to keep him on the road, keep him in the fucking business, and keep food in his mouth. As opposed to, like, you know, like I said, I'm not talking shit about this. I'm not saying don't do this, but, you know, if I would prefer to spend my money, especially paint wise or anything wise, but like if you're a lowrider car painter and I want to have a paint job, like, he's into lowriders, man. Like, is his enthusiasm to do the same type of work on a motorcycle the same as like another biker painter, the guy that rides bikes and does bike shit, you know? So there's areas that's like, it's questionable. It's like, you know, like, I would rather support people that I know that I'm going to hang out with at fucking Giddy Up and Rock Rally, as opposed to like somebody that I'm going to fucking pay them to do this shit to my bike or do this or whatever, and I'll never see them in our scene at all. Never see them put back. And them coming to Giddy Up or Rock Rally might be their way of putting back into our culture or our economy is the word I was looking for.
Economy.
You know? So it's this different thing. Like, I used to always tell this to my bike club when I was in. I was like, man, if any of you motherfuckers had a dry cleaning business, that's where I would put all my money for dry cleaning.
Yeah.
If you had an AC company, you would be the guy I would talk to. I would hope that you would, you know, price wise would be, you know, reasonable. Don't gouge me, but you know, like, I want to support bikers. You know what I mean? That's how I've always been. So, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like a lot of people, you know, we're all guilty of it. You know, we all see those deals on Amazon every once in a while, and we jump on them, you know, and some of them are just like, I can't bitch, you know, crater fairings and, you know, quarter fairings, like, fuck it, dude, just do it. And it's there, you know, but, you know,
but also you're not going to, from one fairing or whatever the one-off part is on Amazon, I don't think you're going to provide enough of value to that shop to where they're actually, you know what I mean? Like,
well, the thing that sucks is when the guy that shows up with his own oil, his own filter, his own parts, his own this, and he wants a shop to put it on because he saved $50.
Oh yeah. Did you know that Harley Davidson recently started selling all their motor clothes through Amazon? Have you talked about on that?
I haven't. One of my wife's friends, Alex, she works at Texas Harley up here.
Yeah.
And they were kind of talking about it a little bit, but that kind of fucks the dealership.
Yeah, it
big
does.
Time.
Big time.
You know, the motor clothes side of things is a big deal for for the individual franchises.
Oh, for sure. You get more people that buy a shirt than that buy a bike, you know.
I mean, think about it. Like, think about how that sucks. Like, say you're a Harley dealership owner. You're franchise, so there's so much shit you're not allowed to do. You're not supposed to be selling anything out of drag, give or take, you know what I mean?
Whatever.
You're not supposed to be promoting Performance Machine wheels and RC Components wheels and all these other companies. You're supposed to be pushing Screaming Eagle. You're supposed to be pushing Motor Clothes. You're supposed to be pushing Harley, everything. but then Harley goes off and like makes their shit available to Amazon to sell clothes, but yet all the dealerships are still handcuffed to not be able to do their own, outside, like finding their market that works for them.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, like, you go to any California dealership and they're all like, fuck the Motor Club, we're doing whatever the fuck we want. They're selling Dixons and West Coast T-bars and every fucking thing under the sun that they know that the people in their scene want. They're selling it. Fuck Screaming Eagle, we're selling goddamn Fab 28,
Yeah.
But then you come, like I said, then you got your Midwest dealerships that aren't quite like encumbered by a culture per se, and they're like, oh, we're a franchise, we ain't, we're not doing none of that.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I don't know why. I think there's multiple reasons why the West Coast or certain dealerships do that, but I also just was made aware of something that's something to think about is, so Harley or the dealerships are making enough money on the used bikes to where they could keep that attitude of Harley only. Like, we could only have everything Harley in there, but it's maybe like the dealerships on the West Coast that they're not making the margins that some of these Midwest shops are on the used bikes and the service department. So they're forced to find different revenue streams. Like, shit, I could push these Scorcher Dunlaps and make, $50 a tire. Whereas if I sell these Shinkos, I'm making $150 a tire. So they're going to have to go to that revenue stream because the used bikes aren't making shit. Yeah. So they're having to figure things out to where, okay, I can't make money on used bikes because there's 20 other places right around here that are selling used bikes better than I am. But so I have to do something where I'm making money on different revenue streams. And so like I know with like one of the like Hard Drive has this new Highway 21 line that they make really good money on. The dealerships make really good money on. And now a lot of the dealerships are starting to sell this product line through their motor clothes, even though it's not bar and shield, because they're making so much more money on where
the profit margins.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a lot of different reasons why the different dealerships, especially on the West Coast, are doing cool shit like selling Dixon flannels and other stuff like that. But I think they're having to do that just to be able to make enough money
to stay relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, because it'd be so much easier for a side, another shop like I'm way too deep into beers right now, but just like a regular,
like a Texas Performance.
Yeah, like a Texas Performance shop to be able to sell all the same shit that, like fuck, like you go to Harley and you're like, okay, I can buy their Harley Davidson flannel for $90. Or I can get this nice Dixon flannel for $70, which is not that much better, but you know, it's still better.
Yeah.
Per se. Yeah. Air quotes, Yeah,
no, I understand, but like I didn't even think about it because I was hanging out with not what would you call Drag Specialties?
They're a distributor.
I was hanging out with a distributor, and they were wanting competition to come into their market to put pressure on the dealerships to look at different revenue streams. They're like, I want Lucky Pennies to come here because when Lucky Pennies comes here, that's going to make them not make as much money on their used bikes. So since they're not making as much money on their used bikes, they're going to have to start thinking about different options like selling Shinko tires or selling Highway 21, whatever it is. Yeah, they're going to have to start looking about different revenue streams to make money. And it doesn't matter if Harley's pissed off or not, if they're going to be more pissed off that they're not making any money than, you have, Shinko tire and that's not a Harley.
Well, it's crazy to see like pretty, dealerships that have like the owners have more than one dealership. You see them more like instead of selling used bikes out of the dealership itself, you see them doing things like Lucky Penny where they're like creating these these secondary businesses where they're pushing used bike sales. You know what I mean? Which is very smart in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because especially with the rising prices of Harleys and, you know, relatively like everything that Harley's made from 2000 up is pretty reliable and stout.
Yeah.
You know,
Are you talking about like American Trading?
Yeah, American Trading Company. That's a company I used to do a lot of business with back in the day. You know, like
And that's owned by the same family that owns other dealers, right?
I'm not 100% sure.
think
You
it
probably
is.
know more than I
think
do.
it's the Smith
I do know Lucky Penny is owned by like the same people that own Texas Harley.
Oh, okay.
So Lucky Penny's you know, I think it's Adam Smith is the owner.
Yes.
So he has like, you know, all these subsidiary things, and I could be wrong, but like when I'm in Cali, I don't see any used bike dealerships anywhere.
Really?
All I see is dealerships and then small mom and pop shops. Like you don't see any fucking like, and I'm completely ignorant to this. There could be there.
Yeah.
I just haven't noticed it, but you don't see any Dream Machines.
Yeah.
You don't see American Motorcycle Trading Companies with these big, massive, like dealership level places that are selling used bikes.
Just used bikes. Yeah.
You might see a used bike seller, but it's like some fucking like 80s like style, like, you know, got a couple bikes kind of, you know what I mean? It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Is that your foot I'm playing
Yeah,
with?
you
My
playing,
bad. That's
you
gay.
playing footsies
That's
with
so
me.
gay. I thought it was a fucking middle thing. No, but it's super weird, man. And you know, and it's not super weird. It's just you know, like a thing that like when you travel and you see different scenes, you like get to see how different it is and how, you know, like there was a big deal here in Texas or in Dallas because Longhorn, which is a dealership here in Texas or in Dallas, they did a whole wall of Dixon flannel stuff, a whole fucking wall in the dealership, you know, in the motor clothes area.
That's cool.
It is cool, but you know, I was in there, I was buying some shit, and I was talking to the owner, or what I think is the owner. I don't fucking know who he is or whatever. He's like, yeah, we finally got Dixon flannel. I was like, yeah, you're like 4 fucking years too late.
Yeah.
Like, I was wearing this shit fucking 4 years ago when I was telling you about it. What took so long?
Yeah.
You know, but
It'll look cute with your Affliction shirt.
yeah, it's like it's almost to that level where the Dixon is the new Affliction. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, Danny, but you know, it's just kind of getting that way. You know?
I went into a shop the other day that they had a bunch of flannels. I don't even know when to go down, but they had
You
a
don't
bunch of they had a bunch of flannels in there, and they were about $25-$30, but you fill them and
Yeah.
they feel similar.
It's, man, it sucks, man. I want to see like a lot of the culture and the scene grow, but you know, just knowing how clothes are and knowing how like the styles are, the more popular a clothing style gets, you know, unless it's something that's just always cheap, like Dickies. Like Dickies, you'll never see Dickies with fucking rhinestones on them. You know what I mean? You'll
Yeah.
never see like
Or Pimmelton. Was it Pimmelton?
Pendleton. Yeah.
Pendleton. Like that's the OG. That's
Yeah.
American made.
You know, well, you know, to maybe be the devil's advocate here, like you look at Dixon flannels like Styleways, and you look at Pendleton, and it's like Pendleton can't fucking compete with the styles of Dixon, you know. But maybe Dixon's growing so fucking fast and becoming so popular amongst so many cultures in the custom everything, whether it's trucks, lowriders, bikes, you know, the working class world, that it's, you know, I keep thinking about like when I remember seeing Famous, you know, I
got a Famous Stars and Straps tattoo.
You still wear it?
It's a tattoo. It's ink.
Oh shit! I thought you said a hat.
No, I got a tattoo. You know that family? It says
Yeah.
family with the famous F. Yeah, I got that one.
Well, dude, my neck says "Live Fast, Die Fun."
Nice.
That was a T-shirt from Famous Stars and Stripes. I wasn't gay enough to use the Famous logo on it. But no, that was something like, you know, when I first started my whole endeavor into this like custom motorcycle thing, like my old shops used to be called Live Fast. And so my dad was a big James Dean fan growing up. So it was like that Live Fast, Die Fun. And I was on sport bikes doing wheelies all over town. It's like, man, like this is like me. So I tattooed it across my neck and this, that, and the other. And it's like so funny how like that whole world just, you know, that I feel like Famous Stars and Straps is like MySpace.
Yeah.
Right. And the Dixon flannel is the Instagram culture. And I don't know what the fuck Facebook is. Maybe Affliction or Skin.
Well, no, Facebook's going to be here forever. So it's
It
going
is,
to be
but-
like something like Dickies.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the Dickies. It's like here to stay. It
fucking
ain't going
Walmart.
nowhere.
It's the goddamn Stussy.
Yeah, exactly. It might not have all the style like Instagram, but it's here to stay. It ain't going nowhere.
It's the Men's Warehouse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's super weird, like, thinking about it, man. Like, because, you know, like, like I said, man, there's Dixon flannels that come out there, like, super dope. But I'm like, all my friends are going to buy them, too.
Yeah. No, I was walking through the airport about 2 weeks ago, and I had a Dixon flannel on, and there was a guy working TSA that told me, "Hey, that dope flannel, bro." And I was like, "Thanks, man." And then there was another guy working in like the headphones electronics store that was like, and it was actually in Phoenix, Arizona, when he's like, "Hey, man, that's a nice flannel." I was like, "Thanks, man." And he started talking to me about the actual flannel, and he's like, "Yeah, I placed my first order, and I saw that it came out of Phoenix, Arizona, and it actually is only like 4 blocks away from my apartment. So after I got the package, I went over there and talked to the guys. I'm just gonna go there and buy it." But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
it's,
shipped it down the street. Yeah.
it's reaching. I mean, it's cool for Danny. Danny's
Yeah.
fucking
Like I
rad.
said, dude, it's like, I don't want to be a hater because, like, I'm super proud of what he's built, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I'm also like, you know, I remember, you know, the first Dixon flannel I bought, it was like 2014, you know, and of course it was those Yagos and shit like that, and it's cool. You know what I mean?
Did it say that on the?
No, it had it's always had the Dixon tag on it, but it was a Yago. I mean, he told me, huh?
It still is.
No, to my knowledge now, like, he's having them, he's doing them right now.
All right.
You know, from dude, but it's getting pushed down people's throats so bad now that, or so much now that I don't know if it's like an end game. Like, it's not I don't know, man. Like, I'm not really qualified to have an opinion, but I do have an opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how can I, like, talk about someone that's so successful, like,
Yeah.
in any kind of way other than, like, just a consumer? And that's all I am. Like, I'm a Dixon flannel consumer, so it's like, I'm super proud of that. I think the only thing I think I missed the most is that when Dixon first came out, they were, like, right there with us. I felt like you were Dixon. Like, fuck, man, Travis is coming by the house tonight. We're going to go fucking do a podcast. And, then, I'm going to go buy some flannels from him tomorrow,
Yeah.
But now it's like, or like, hey, Travis is throwing a party, let's, like I said a million times, that's how I met Mark. Because Dixon Flannel threw a party, and I rode my bike from Dallas to Phoenix, and Mark did the same thing. And that we met in Las Cruces,
dang.
and that's how we became friends. You know what I mean? Because
That's cool.
Dixon Flannel was doing shit for the same culture that they were marketing to.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since Dixon's like put it out there to like be, to host events or do this or do anything. Like, he had his podcast going. I don't know if he still does it, but he was doing it. But like, you have a name, man. You can rally people together, and that's what we try to do with our name. That's what I know Biker Living's trying to do. That's what everybody's trying to do, is just to bring the scene together.
Yeah.
And so, like, as much as you might, want to sell something to everybody, you also want people to know that your brand is also the brand that is like down to party right next to you.
Yeah.
Drink a beer right there with you. And
I feel like as a business owner and the magazine owner, I almost want that too much. Like, what I mean? I'm less concerned sometimes about selling you something and more concerned about like having a good time and hoping that you enjoy my company. And that's where but
that's it, man. Because
Yeah.
because you're passionate about what you do. You know what I mean? It's like there's a joy out of knowing that everybody's digging what's going on and digging your brand, digging your company, and it's like that's why we were so involved with starting these bike nights here in Dallas. You know, and it's also why it's super. It's become super stressful when you hear people saying things bad about you. You know what I mean? Because you put so much of your heart and soul into something that people benefit from, but yet you kind of get tossed around like a product. instead of like a person with feelings.
Yeah.
I sound like a goddamn Sesame Street fucking article
Yeah.
right now.
But no, I mean,
Damn, we killed this 12-pack, huh? Or I did.
but no, I mean, you're right. It is but like what you're doing here in Dallas with your bike nights, man, it's hard because you bring such a professional level to the table that people try to milk it almost, you know what I mean? And
Yeah. You know, like, you know, it sucks because, like you said it best, man, like, I don't know how to get into this, but I'm ready to get into it without causing too much drama. But like, you know, here in Dallas, like we got into this scene, like me is in my shop and my super close friends at the time, we got into this Dynas and FXR scene, about 2.5 years ago. Right. And, when I started applying my reach, I guess is the right word, in the world, in the Instagram, Facebook, whatever, being known, towards like creating something for Dynas and FXRs in the scene, right? So every year the first year we started a New Year's ride, and it was kind of like an untold like anniversary party, and so we did that for 2 years, and then this year, you know, we did you know, this was the second year, January of 2018, and come March, like all of a sudden this page popped up in Dallas called, you know, the DFW Dyna Crew.
yeah.
I was like, who the fuck? You know, at first I was like, who the fuck is in my city repping DFW Dynas and FXRs,
Yeah.
and I don't even know these motherfuckers, like, because we've been doing this already, right? And so, you know, like, you know, I was kind of pissed at first. I was like, you know, man, like, let me see who these people are. So I did, and I got into the circle. I was invited to the page and this, that, and the other, and it was cool, man. Like
But
everybody,
they all knew who you were, you know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, one way or another, they did.
Yeah.
And it was fun. You know, it was cool because it was just like, it was finally, realistically, it was cool because it was like, I found more people in DFW that was into what I was into. You know what I mean? Now, at the time, it was only a Facebook or Instagram page. That was it. There was no bike night. There was nothing else. It was just there was a couple, they were posting rides. They were doing the Connor motto. You know what I mean? Trying to build things and do these little rides this way, right? And one thing about me is that, like I said many, many times, is like I'm the dude that's like, let's do it right now. Let's, you know, you want to do a podcast? Let's do it tomorrow. You want to fucking build a bike? Let's fucking do it now. You want to ride across country? Like, I don't like planning shit out for advance. Let's do it now while it's hot and fresh, you know?
Yep.
So when I got invited onto the page and hanging out with these dudes, I was like, hey, you know, this was right before Texas Hills. I was like, let's do a bike night. You know? And I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And I was like, where do you guys want to do it at? They're like, no one really said much. You know, like, let's do it at Anvil. That's where we have our fucking New Year's ride every year. It's a place that we go to quite a bit just in general. And
It's a cool spot.
everybody was like, cool, let's do it. I was like, let's do it on Tuesday. You know, I used to host a bike night at Pluckers, which is the best wing place in Texas.
Yeah.
I was real good with the corporate there, and I used to host bike nights there here in DFW, and it was real successful, like big fucking bike nights back in the Big Will Bagger days.
Yeah.
And so I got out of that obviously years ago, and then I was like, dude, if we do it on Tuesdays, it doesn't interfere with shit, and the restaurants is a slow day for them. They're not dealing with sports. You're not dealing with the weekend crowd or the fucking Thirsty Thursdays and all this type of shit. You know what I mean? So it's like a dead night, and it's a good cap to Monday. You know, you go to work on Monday, and you got a Friday on Tuesday. You know, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So that's why I always push for Tuesdays. And then everything was good, man. It was really good, and the DFW Dyna Crew was growing, and it was blowing up, and it was getting big, and it was doing exactly what it was supposed to do, man. But this is where it becomes he said, she said. You know what I mean? Is it because me, Jace Hudson, is an egotistical maniac that wants to be the head of everything, or is it because I tried to use everything that I had, like podcasts, Instagram, Facebook, my reputation, to make something big?
Your business name, yeah.
And then when it got big, I wanted some fucking like credit. You know what I mean? Or basically, I think what triggered everything is like when it did get big, and I mean, you mentioned it, like people in other cities, like
Yeah, all the Austin guys were looking at it and being like, we want
dude,
that.
we want that,
Yeah.
right? And it's not that I created that; like the people that were here created that. I just used whatever I had to put it on the table.
Yeah.
And
But you've already created a successful bike night, so you knew what it took. You knew it would take every Tuesday, same location, same time. Don't even have to tell anyone you're going. Just know that you're going to be there.
yeah, just know that every Tuesday night, if you look up like Tuesday night this week coming up, we're gonna be there hanging out with the bartender that we're all really good friends with now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we've been hanging out with him for 67 weeks now, or whatever the case may be.
exactly.
But it sucked because the DFW Diner Crew itself was just an Instagram page that was kind of like started to recreate the repost page. That's a popular thing. People want to create repost pages to get big whatever. You know what I mean? And
I don't get it, but yeah, I get it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the big numbers. You know what I mean? And that's one way to get it, is to repost the hard work of other people.
Yeah, but like I don't get like what's the end goal with it? Like, are you gonna?
There is no end goal.
Yeah, exactly.
But whether you could say that I helped create an end goal, or there wasn't, like, I don't feel like there was an end goal. It was a repost page that I used because it was a DFW Diner Crew for local that I latched onto to help kind of spread the bigger word of like spreading the gospel of T-bars and fucking mid controls.
Yeah.
The guys that what quickly happened is that a lot of people jumped on board and they loved it and they were there and they were hardcore about it. And there were people that were hardcore about it and looking for that outlet, looking for that group of people that wanted to ride bikes and be challenged and to get out of their comfort zone and do shit on motorcycles. And there was this group of people that wanted to come by there and like smoke cigars and be these like creators, these co-founders, and these intellects.
Prestige.
Yeah.
Prestigious.
They don't ride nowhere. They don't go anywhere. They ain't camping.
Yeah.
They ain't doing shit like that. But they wanted that respect, as if they created something that they just started. Mm-hmm. And it sucks.
It was obvious.
It was, well, what it was it like, and I said this before, is like, you can't mix half-ass bikers and real bikers together.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that in a way to talk shit about, because there's some guys that hang out with that DFW Diner Crew that are some real fucking bikers.
Yeah.
But realistically, what they're doing is they're hanging out with people that's convenient to them, as opposed to like people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
And because DFW is a fairly decent metroplex, it's pretty good size. I mean, we're talking about 30 miles from downtown to downtown Fort Worth to downtown Dallas is 30 miles. Not that much of a space, you know what I mean? But,
It's not just 5 minutes.
when you've lived here forever, like going from one side of, like going from the west side of Fort Worth to the east side of Dallas is not the same. Like, I don't want to do that and then come back home buzzed. I get that.
Yeah.
But the problem is that like Dynas and FXRs and performance motorcycles in general is not a big scene here in Texas. Mm-hmm. So to have like 4 fucking bike nights in the same city or metroplex, it's not realistic, because people are gonna pick and choose. Like, I'm gonna go to the one most convenient to myself, instead of being like, I'm gonna go out of my way to be here with these people and make myself known as I'm the dude that put in effort to be here.
Yep.
And so it was just it became a shit show real quick, you know what I mean? And maybe a power struggle too. I hate to, one thing I try to do, or I want to be, is open-minded to the way the world looks at me.
Yeah.
So if I'm a dick or if I'm an asshole or if I'm a fucking egotistical maniac,
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Tell me. But
Yeah.
just tell me like me and you sitting here talking.
Yeah.
Maybe not on a podcast, but like, you know,
Yeah.
just me and you talking, you know? And so it sucks because, yes, the DFW Diner Crew it represented something that, like, people across the country could, like, really vibe with.
Yeah.
But just like anything, man, like the bigger it gets, the more you find people wanting to hang on to the success and be the creators of the success of that situation.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, you know, anybody could argue, like, I mean, I guess it sucks because I'm the one with the podcast and the one with the higher Instagram following and the higher reach. But I mean, who knows what made DFW Diner Crew big? Whether it was me,
Yeah.
or, you know, me coming along and starting a camp out,
Yeah.
or starting a ride to fucking Texas Hills, or starting this and starting this and starting this, or it was a fucking Instagram page. You know?
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it was definitely, I think, probably a combination of all of the things, with, you know, the biggest influence being Fast Life Garage, Fast Life Podcast being at all of those DFW
I'm
Dyna.
a fucking biker, dude. I'm
Yeah.
there. I'm trying to party and drink beer with you.
Exactly.
I'm not playing
Exactly.
footsie with you still.
Yeah, man.
Dude, I'm sorry, man.
It's
This
all
is
good.
getting super gay.
And, but,
Kind of felt good, though.
but yeah, it's a bummer when I found out everything that, you know, went down or fizzled out, or how it happened. And, you know, because so I was thinking back, so with what you guys were doing and what you guys still continue to do with the T-Bars crew and everything else, I'm trying to do it with the magazine, but I can't do it to the level of every Tuesday. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it in the event calendar every Tuesday. I possibly could do something like towards the end, like, hey, these are the local bike nights that you could check out that aren't at the dealerships. And that's a possibility. I could do something like that. But it was nice. I heard someone go to bat for me the other day. There was one of these pages that popped up for, like, Central Texas.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a Dyna FXR Central Texas bike night, but it was a Central Texas event page almost. And one of my buddies, and I didn't even know, like, after he even called out this dude that was running this page, like this repost page, he never even came back to me. He's like, hey man, look at these screenshots. I told this dude, like, screw you, it's all about biker living. But he, like, it was through someone else that they showed me what my buddy told to this guy that was running this page, because he came out with this page trying to, like, do these events in Central Texas. And they were like, is this so-and-so? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, don't tag us in anything. Don't do anything. And the guy's like, sorry, man. I'm just trying to post about events in the Central Texas area or in Texas area. And he goes, we got Biker Living that's doing that. And I was like, yeah, like, it's my buddy Dustin. Dustin went to bat for me. He doesn't even know I know. But it was nice seeing that, like, he did that. And, like,
Do you think that we could have, like, our own Discovery Channel show just about, like, Instagram fucking, like, drama between the motorcycle scene? Like,
Man.
fuck building bikes. Let's talk about the Instagram drama.
I think Facebook drama is worse.
Yeah, Facebook drama is definitely worse.
Because it stays, I mean, you know, you have to, like, really scroll through to go back and find that post on Instagram. Facebook, that shit stays there every time that person posts.
Every time you go in there.
Yeah, it comes back up. But
you know, the real thing is about all of it is, you know, whether it's my name on it or Biker Living or, you know, Tex Performance or Zombie Mike or anybody that we're doing, like, we're really only doing, like, I'm literally only trying to make a badass place for myself to have a good time. That's it. Like,
yeah,
I'm not trying to, like, that was a big issue that we had with even our Anvil thing. Like, look, this is not a business. I'm not coming to this bike night to sell you motherfuckers anything.
Yeah.
I'm coming here to drink beer with you and bitch about people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a real bike night.
or be Mr. Cool Guy because I own the Instagram page.
Yeah. I don't want to be any of that. It's about coming together and fucking, like, inspiring each other, like one good thing about like the people that came to Anvil Pub and whatnot is that they all want to go to California. They want to do a real ride. You know, they listen to, you know, our buddy fucking Adam, you know, who hangs out more on the DFW Donna side than ours, but he's still the fucking raddest dude in the world.
Yeah.
You know, we listened to his road tripping episode, and everybody wants to go do that. They want to experience that now. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know? And realistically, that's all I give a fuck about, man. I don't give a fuck about, you know, being the name. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, man, like we're men. I have pride. If I fucking put a lot of effort into something and it gets big, motherfucker, high five me, dude. Show me a little respect. Don't fucking act like this was you. Motherfucker, one dude on the fucking I'm really trying not to go hard on him, but one of the there's two dudes that created the page, right? One of the dudes was never even here. Ever. Motherfucking ever.
Damn.
Had the nerve to tell me, like, hey, dude, we made you famous too. I'm like, bitch, your mom. Fuck you and your mom, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea. Like, you guys repost shit. I live it.
Yeah.
I
repost my shit.
I live the shit you repost, bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I hate to do this, man, but fuck you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to do some bike nights. You want to ride bikes. You want to, like, start camp outs now.
Yeah.
I guess that's the new thing.
Is it?
Yeah, I guess you know, the Fast Life camp out wasn't good enough. We got to do our own. You know what? I'm just going.
That's a real original.
Yeah.
Real.
Instead of just coming to ours.
Yeah.
And just like, you know,
Supporting.
like let's separate a very small community as it is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because we want to have our own shit.
No,
I'm not trying to. So this is my opinions, not biker living. But you know, fuck it.
But no,
I'm the villain. the villain. That's what it is, man. Like me and my brother were talking about it. It's like, dude, all we wanted to do was fucking ride bikes, drink beer, and have fun.
Yeah.
And because, you know, and we're villains for that shit, and that's the truth, man. Like that's what it ends up being.
Yeah.
So North Texas T-Bars is, you know, whether you like the name or not, fucking T-Bars, bro. You know, we have a fucking Jesus, dude. Mark Matthews, fucking T-Bar Jesus. Like, are you trying to get down with that or what, bro? The mid control gospel, you know. We have a whole religion based on this shit now, dude.
Yeah, I had my first bike night just a few weeks back, and it was cool. Jesus actually showed up. Jesus made an appearance.
He made it. Is that the one that like they got that gnarly ass picture of him that's been reposted on?
Yeah. That was, and it was cool, dude. That picture was taken from a dude from Houston. The dude from Houston I met at Nitty Gritty drove all the way from Houston to fucking he took a picture of you and Jesus together.
So this is your bike night though, right? So
yeah, this is my bike night, and so it was
this.
me, Texas Hills, and Rosewood Barbershop. We all got together. I'm good buddies with both of the other organizations, and we got together. This barbershop used to have a badass bike night at their old barbershop that they didn't own, but they worked for. But there were a bunch of bikers that worked for this dude.
I'm lost, but okay.
Yeah, there's like a barbershop that had a bike night. They ended up getting fucked over by the old owner, started their own barbershop, and they're like, hey, we want the same crowd of bikers to like know that all these people that used to ride now have. So they got with us, and they're like, let's do this thing. And I was like, fuck yeah. And so it was awesome. I mean, there was guys, Cody and Richard from San Antonio, Richard from Texas.
Cody Melton.
Melton.
The Sportster God.
Yes. The Sportster God.
The Sportster Messiah.
Yes. He rode up from San Antonio. Richard from Texas Infamy rode all the way from Uvalde, which is even farther than San Antonio, up
That's
to
Mexico.
Bike Night.
That's Mexico.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like
He came from Mexico.
straight up.
We need to check his papers, man. Dude, there's a lot of cool motherfuckers from like the San Antonio area, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really is. Like you know, as much as we talk about Dallas and Austin, man, like San Antonio has had some major players, like the Texas Infamy dudes. That's been like one of the OG fucking stunt guys here in the Texas area for a while now.
Yeah.
You know, Cody Melton, the Sportster fucking Messiah, I guess is the word. The motherfucker rode a bike all the way to California and back, man.
Yep.
Like he's into this shit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like heavy hitters, in my opinion, in our scene. I guess saying our like you're on a Dyna.
Yeah.
So it's ours.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Not your biker magazine, but just the Dyna thing. It's like there's a lot of dudes that really, really make up the makeup of what Texas culture is on these bikes. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. But it's good. We need it.
Yeah.
We need more of it.
You need a lot of people. Dude, all my fucking I'm drunk. No, all the dudes from fucking Houston, man. The pterodactyls, man. Like our boys.
Yes. I run into those guys all the time still.
Dude.
And I always ask them what their mating call is.
Yeah.
You know, like, what's your guys' mating call? I'll see them at like Lone Star or something, and I'll want to do like caca or some shit.
And that shit's so fucking cool, man, because it's like those dudes are. That whole event, that whole like pterodactyl thing was a drunken conversation at Giddy Up Campground while it was raining.
No, that was at Texas Hills, right?
No.
Oh, that
before
it just transitioned over to Texas Hills?
So the first year I ever went to Texas Hill, I'm drunk. Giddy Up.
Yeah.
So I went to Giddy Up, first time ever last year, and we camped across the parking lot from where all the Houston dudes were. And my buddy Austin Todd, the guy I rode to Born Free with last year, he found me and Gary Stevens, who will be a guy that we'll have on the podcast at some point in time. He's our Father Time guy here around. He found us. And he's like, man, like y'all are camping on the wrong part of Giddy Up. Like we're over here. So we went over there and we camped out, set our shit up, and went and hung out with them. And we're all sitting there. It's fucking storming. You know, a storm was passing through, so we're sitting under this awning, and we were like talking shit about something. We were just talking shit, like all of us. And we're like, you know, we should be like the Los Locos Pterodactyl Boys is what the original thing was.
Yeah.
And it was like paying homage to every cultural bike club there is, of like the black side to the fucking super white to the Mexican.
Yeah.
Los Locos Pterodactyl Boys with the Z at the end. And it just became a drunken rant that we were all doing, like just like going caw. And then the next day was Giddy Up, and then we saw like some banditos had pterodactyl on the bottom of their shit. Like that was something real in the bandito culture, which I have no idea about.
Yeah.
But we were tripping out about it. So I was like, dude, this is legit now. So from all of 2017, like I'd see them at fucking Hand-Built Show or something else, and we just do the shit. Like I see and it's just badass having like these different things going on, you know, with everybody. It's fun.
That night, would you have more fun at the pre-party for Texas? In Texas Hills wasn't even a pre-party. It was just like people that showed up early. Did you have more fun at Texas Hills or Nitty Gritty?
I think the same thing about both.
Okay.
And I've said this to Mike.
You got pretty wasted at both of them.
The thing is, I said this. I was like, if Nitty Gritty was Saturday.
Oh, okay. I know where you're going with this.
If Nitty Gritty was Saturday, then everybody that was there Sunday would have been there Saturday. So Saturday night would have been fucking epic. Mm-hmm. But it was Sunday. Mm-hmm. And so we partied Saturday. We actually partied Friday too. But we partied Saturday as well. That's when the dude jumped through the fire. Yeah. It was a great time. It was still a good time. But it's not the same thing to camp out Sunday night as it is Saturday night. Like even me as a business owner, like, yeah, I can take Monday off and fuck off, but it's still in my nature to be at work on Monday. Mm-hmm. So Sunday comes, I'm like, 3 o'clock, I'm going home, especially in Houston or Austin or whatever. Like I'm out. And so I just, you know, I know that Alex is, you know, he works at Harley, and so he preaches for the concept of like
Sunday. But do you think that you've been in the industry longer than a lot of people? Do you think that concept is a good one to preach, or do you think a lot of motorcycle shops are closed on Mondays? I think that more people are not closed on Mondays nowadays because that concept doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, I think that it's easier to take a Saturday off.
You never accommodate for the needs of few over the needs of many. Yeah. So the needs of a few people need to be a Sunday show. If you can't make the effort to get that day off months in advance. Like right now, it's December, and we know that Texas Hills is in June. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan of June, but I know it's in June. If you can't get that day off now, then we should not have to accommodate ourselves for you to be off on a Sunday. You should be there on a Saturday like everybody else. You know what I mean? So you don't accommodate for the needs of a few people that work in dealerships because they can't, tell their boss to fuck off.
What about the motorcycle shops that want to bring their bikes?
Well, that's okay. So you want to be a motorcycle shop and you want to fucking like keep your doors open for one day, or you want to go to an event where everybody in your scene or your culture is at? Like, come on, dude. Like, that's not. It's an easy argument.
Yeah.
Shut your fucking shop down and stop being a little bitch. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, put back into the culture that's also providing for you.
Yeah. It's easy for a shop, like I've noticed this, like with me going out and pushing this Easy Riders thing so hard. It's easy for a shop to shut down for a Saturday for like Rot Rally or Easy Riders, but a brand new show like Texas Hills or Nitty Gritty, it's harder to sell a shop on that.
Well, then that I think that's where the relationship between the show and the shop needs to be evaluated.
Yes.
Because if I'm willing to shut my shop down and be there to support you, then you need to be there extra to support me.
Yeah.
And not support the guy that didn't or can't make it. Like, if a motherfucker can't make it on a Saturday and you got to change your whole agenda to Sunday, fuck that shop. Mm-hmm. Fuck him.
Yeah.
He's not that busy. None of us are. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's one of those deals, man. Like, the party, the show is cool, man. The shows are fun. But the conversations that are had between people, like sitting around a campfire or sitting around a 12-pack, sitting around a fucking tent, or sitting around a bar, mm-hmm. like Texas Hills and fucking Nitty Gritty was, I value that 10 times or tenfold more than I value sitting in a tent mm-hmm. and trying to sling something. So there's something that's there. So if you apply that same tent and that shit all day Saturday, but then the show winds down and it turns into a party Saturday, mm-hmm. and now all of a sudden the same dudes that were under a tent being business guys are having a fucking cocktail with me or a beer, if you're a man, and we're having the same conversations. Now I'm more invested in these shops. I'm more invested in these tents. I'm more invested in these people here because they're my peers doing what I do.
Yeah, but you mean like pop-ups, not like tents.
Well, just tents, like pop-up tents for fucking like like your 10x10s selling shit.
Your booth spots, your booths. Yeah, and you're right. And I think it builds it up to where
we're all small. Yeah. We're all small. So none of us, me, Texas Performance, none of us, dude. We're not so big that we can't party with you. Mm-hmm. We're not none of us are that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like we need, like, that needs to be as important as the show is the hangout, mm-hmm. the party. Like, Giddy Up's cool because it's separate, right? Like we all go back to Giddy Up's campground and it's different, but Nitty Gritty was there on the spot. Dude, mm-hmm. how awesome would it be to fucking, like, that show just transition to the camp out?
Yeah. Or like the guy that you saw the night before, you didn't know what kind of bike he has, but if the show's before, like, I would have definitely tried to figure my way to talk to Ochoa.
Yeah.
You know?
Jason?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw him that night. I thought I had an idea of who that was, but it wasn't until the next day. And by the time the next day came around, I was so busy doing my thing with my booth and my magazine and taking my photos that I didn't get a chance to. Where the night before I saw him, we were drinking beer like a few feet away. I would have made sure I went and told him, like, dude, that Jimi Hendrix bike is next level. It's dope. And I would have tried to talk to him about some stuff.
Well, that's the same thing that happened at Texas Hills, man. Like, because the night before we had an awesome ride. Going back to the DFW Downer Crew, we created an awesome ride from Dallas down there, and we had a good fucking time. We showed up drunk, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like real bikers, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We showed up drunk, and then we fucking kept drinking all night, you know what I mean? And then it was a good time. So Sunday, you know what I was doing? I was hung the fuck over.
Yep.
And now I'm sitting here at a fucking party that I'm hungover at trying to sell fucking, like, I don't want to sell paint jobs, dude. This is 2018, right? I'm not trying to sell you paint jobs. I have Instagram for that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to party. I'm trying to show you. Let's talk. Like, why do you want a paint job? Who are you? Like, you know, like, I want to, like, be a little bit more intimate with people in a sense like that. You know what I mean?
And then I think you'd probably sell more paint jobs drinking beers with someone that was able to see your work the day before, and all of a sudden now they got this personal connection with you and they want to do business with you because they like you as a person and they saw your work.
Or the other thing is, like, the more you get to talk to, dude, I've had a couple recently where, like, you ever had people that, like, have no patience, especially when they text people? You ever had someone that texts you something like, hey, dude, how's it going today? And then, like, before you even read it, they sling a question mark at you. Like, oh, I'm obligated to answer you.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to this after I piss. Hold on. I don't know where we were at. I don't know what I was talking about. We talked about a few things in this piss break.
Yeah.
Damn, I can't go back and listen. So, I'm sorry if you guys was interested in what I was about to say, but it's over.
No, we were talking about something. Whatever, it's gone.
I think we were talking about, like, the Sunday shows. I think that you know, the real event is a weekend event, like, getting there Friday, being there all day Saturday present. You know, you party Friday night, you party hard Saturday night, and then Sunday is decompression. You go home, man.
Yeah.
You know, even if no matter what, man, I don't know. Like, I can't vibe with. I mean, I will support any show that's here, but I just think that the way to go is Saturday shows.
Yep.
You know.
No, I agree. I completely
think about
agree.
how many people like think about it like this, like when we did our camp out, we did the camp out where it was a Friday, Saturday deal, right? The idea, we got there Thursday, but the idea was you wanted to be there Friday, Saturday, and
leave
you know,
Sunday.
or some people were going to be showing up Friday. You know, same thing with Giddy Up, man. You know, you ever go to fucking like the Hocko Springs on fucking Wednesday night before Giddy Up? It's a goddamn party. Because people are getting there, they're ready for it, you know?
Yep.
And then there's people that are showing up Saturday and they're ready for the big party Saturday night.
Yep.
And Sunday is like, you know what? We're going to take our time getting home. Or maybe you're from Cali or Michigan or fucking Kansas
Or know what's another good thing that I don't think some of these guys have thought of? Think about how much money you spend the night before
yeah.
on beer and alcohol. So all your vendors that are getting set up on a Sunday show,
Yeah.
and they ain't selling as much as they thought they would, maybe
Yeah.
everyone's spending all their money on alcohol the night before. You do it during Saturday, everyone spends their money on the vendor spots, and then you got a bunch of vendors that want to come back and support your show.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree and understand Saturday shows and Saturday parties and everyone going home on Sunday, but I mean, it's a double-edged sword because there's guys that don't want to shut down their shop on Saturday because it might be their busiest day.
Yeah. And guess what? The guy that did is the one that reaps the benefits.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I said, you nothing can be about the needs of a few over the needs of many. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's the issue we have with our bike nights. You know, like there's 3 people that lived far away that didn't want to drive all the way to Dallas.
Yep.
So they had to create a new bike night instead of just being, you know, even though there was 4 other people that did the same thing that were fine with it. So it's about like on these parties, it's about being the shop or that's willing to sacrifice themselves as well as the opportunity that's in front of them with these events, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like Easy Rider. Easy Rider's a Saturday show. If those same shops are there, then they're fucking hypocrites and fuck them.
Yeah.
Why cater to them if they won't fucking adjust their life to support your small show, but they'll go all out of their way to support a bigger name show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why a show like small, like Texas Hills or whatever, should be more loyal to the people that are gonna go out of their way to make sure they're there and present and bringing content to the table to help out these events.
Yeah.
And
I think you're right. I mean, I think some of the shops will benefit more by shutting down 8 hours out of their work week and going and actually interacting with the scene and the community, getting your name out there. Because I personally know that they're not doing any advertising, especially if they're not on Instagram, which there's a lot of shops, I'd say 70-80% of motorcycle shops aren't using social media. Yeah, there's a lot of cool shops out there that are using it, and those are the ones that are doing very well right now. But there's a lot of other people out there that are just strictly word of mouth.
So what's new for you next year? Like any major plans or?
Man, like I said, 2019, I definitely got to get the magazine audio, and I'd like to get it video. So I definitely want to come out where you could just listen to all the articles in the magazine instead of having to read them. And then like a video aspect where it's the audio with just the pages or some of the pictures for full blown. So it's not like me standing in front or sitting in front of a microphone, but it's actual photos from that article. And then just really excited to have Alex on board. Real excited to have him on board. You're going to probably see a lot of different things coming through Biker Living with the, how creative Alex is and how artistic he is. You'll probably see some really cool shit coming from Alex. But no, just some of the different media streams that we're going to try to hit on, and maybe some other different ways to make some money, but there won't be some so publicly. That'll be kind of behind the scenes.
But you'll be here at IMS, right?
Yeah, I'll be up here from IMS. I'll be as far as events and shows coming up and not business. Yeah, I want to try to make it definitely out to Sturgis this year. Born Free would definitely be a good one. I know that you and your guys are talking, and there's some other guys down in San Antonio that would like to make it. I know Cody wants to go back out there, and your boy Connor wants to go back out there.
He's on a drive.
Yeah, he'll take his van.
Pussy. Love you, Connor.
And
but you're still pussy.
But yeah, as far as big trips, I would like to go. I mean, if King Tony's going to have another Arkansas anniversary party, I think that was a lot of fun.
That's a good story there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have time to do it today.
Yeah.
That whole trip, that was a good time. King Tony up there doing the Arkansas shit. That's a place I want to spend more time at next year, man.
Yeah.
In Arkansas. With Tony and his stunt dude, Rock Stunts over here. He's in Dallas. Just all of them. Is it Eric?
Eric. Yeah.
I just know him as Rock.
That's Eric. Yeah.
It's Eric. Okay. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. It'd be fun, man. I'm excited for next year.
Yeah.
It's got to be better.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be better.
Exactly. Can't lose my job.
So what's the Instagram page, man? Like the Instagram, the website?
It's Biker Living Mag TX is the Instagram. Website's bikerlivingmag.com. We only have one video up on YouTube right now, but you can find us under Biker Living Magazine. And Facebook, everything is just Biker Living Mag. But yeah, reach out to us on social media. I'm the one who runs all the social media. I'm not outsourcing it like some of these exhaust companies we're talking about. So if you like anything, let me know. If you dislike anything, don't tell me. Just keep your mouth fucking shut, and we'll all get along.
Yeah. Well, thanks for drinking beers with me, man.
Hell yeah.
I think we killed this 12-pack.
Yeah,
or at least I did.
Yeah, you killed 8. I killed 4.
All right, man. We'll see you around, dude.
All right, man.
Like I said, man, we put an end to that 12-pack and drug it out for a while, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, thank you, Travis from Biker Living Magazine, for coming out and talking with your boy. Also want to thank D&D Exhaust. Put that .com on the end and check out their website, DND Exhaust on Instagram, as well as you can 844 D&D Pipe. Throw a Fast Life one word on the end of those orders and catch yourself a discount. Also want to thank Texas Performance Mark down there, TexasPerformanceMC.com, as well as on Instagram. PaintHuffer.com as well as PaintHuffer Metal Flake on Instagram, HorsepowerInc.net as well as Horsepower Inc. on Instagram, and Horsepower Inc. Indy on Facebook. Like I said, you can always follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. We now have a podcast page on Instagram as well as on Facebook if you care to follow and check out as well. So just do all that, and thanks for all your support, and thanks for sharing this, and thanks for sticking with us all this year. Looking forward to next year and all the rad shit we're going to be doing and bringing to this podcast. So you guys have a great rest of the day, and I should have another podcast for you here in a day or two. So thank you, and have a good week.